Chapter 2687. Su Fong had misunderstood and thought that he could take other people's blood fiend avatars as he wished. Now, Su Fong understood that only by using the life-shrinking technique of Heaven's secret to sever the fate connection with his true body, the blood fiend doppelganger would become an ownerless object. Only then would he be able to merge with it. This meant that only he and a small number of peerless experts who could cut off fate had the ability to plunder and merge with other cultivators' blood fiend avatars. There were some special spells and abilities that could devour other cultivators' blood fiend avatars. However, they had to be careful of the backlash from the blood fiend aura. If they were not careful, the blood fiend aura could erode their Dao heart and affect their primordial spirit. Shixian Daozu gave Su Fong a special technique to merge with the blood fiend avatars. It was not very profound. He only needed to use his own blood essence, primordial spirit, and primordial spirit to merge with the blood fiend avatars. It won't be long before I have a purple fate, primordial spirit, Xian Huang, and Xianyang avatars. With a heart full of anticipation, Su Fong settled into a state of cultivation. Not only was he merging with the blood fiend avatars, but he was also cultivating other techniques and abhijnas. The Zhoushuan Wuji scripture, the life-shortening technique, the unraveling technique, the extreme black yang technique, and other techniques and abhijnas were all cultivated by Su Fong ever since he came to the Eastern Xian divine domain. Time continued to pass. 1,000 years passed in a flash. Outside Daoless City's barrier, on a floating ruin, Executioner Granny and Ling Xingchen from the three highest mysterious sects were sitting cross-legged in a formation, observing the situation in Daoless City. That kid won't keep cultivating in the Chamber of Commerce's cave abode, right? Executioner Granny lost the demeanor of an expert and seemed a little impatient. It was no wonder that she knew that Su Fong had taken the 6 extreme Dao sane avatars from Ling Xingchen. Faced with such a shocking temptation, Executioner Granny could not remain calm even with her firm Dao heart. Ling Xingchen said, "The sect's disciple in Daoless City rented a cave abode not far from Su Fong. As long as he leaves the cave abode, I will receive the news." Elder Executioner Granny, don't worry. That's great. Executioner Granny nodded. He then looked at Ling Xingchen and said, "Ling Xingchen, as long as you do well this time, I will not pursue the matter of you deceiving me. When I get the 6 extreme Dao sane celestial body, I will definitely reward you." "Thank you, Senior." Ling Xingchen cupped his fists and expressed his gratitude, but in his heart, he was cursing Executioner Grandma countless times. Under the mountain range where Su Fong's abode was located, a pale-faced young cultivator could only look up at the mountain range from outside the enchantment. To be able to rent such a cave abode, that kid must be a fat sheep, a fat sheep. The white-faced cultivator's eyes were shining. Xiao Shuiqing, that bitch has not sent any news. She must have turned to that fat sheep. Humph, it's not easy to do it in Daoless City. When you leave Daoless City, I will skin you alive. The white-faced cultivator waited patiently at the foot of the mountain. He kept fantasizing about killing Su Fong and getting the picture scroll of the treasures on Su Fong. Deep in Su Fong's cave abode, QL11 Su Fong was sitting cross-legged in the array. Opposite him, there was another Su Fong sitting cross-legged. It was Su Fong who had merged with Yang Dingtian's blood evil Dharma body and cultivated his own blood evil Dharma body. The blood fiend celestial body was draped in a blood-red robe with 9 black stars on it. Its entire body exuded a sharp, murderous aura and baleful aura. At the same time, it also carried an incomparably violent and ferocious intent. If one looked carefully, they would find that the appearance of the blood evil Dharma body was not exactly the same as that of Su Fong. Only the facial features were vaguely similar. His appearance was similar to that of Su Fong's immortal blood spirit in the Pansong universe. It turned out that when Su Fong merged with the immortal blood spirit, he also merged the immortal blood spirit with the demon monkey's residual consciousness. In this way, Su Fong's blood evil Dharma body not only had the killing intent of other blood evil Dharma bodies, but also had the violent and ferocious character of the immortal blood spirit. That was not all. Su Fang's blood evil Dharma body could not only devour the evil spirit of the Blood Valley to grow, but could also devour the vitality and blood of other cultivators, Big Goblin, and other life forms to grow. As for how much the blood evil Dharma body could grow in the future and what kind of monster it would become, Su Fang could not predict for the time being. However, he was certain that his blood evil Dharma body would definitely be more powerful than other cultivators' blood evil Dharma bodies. My blood evil Dharma body will have the height of a 9-star blood evil commander once it is cultivated. When I reach the Blood Valley, I will definitely be able to advance to become a bloody killing divine general or even a bloody killing divine lord. When that time comes, I will no longer have to fear Dong Xianzhang's identity. I will go directly to the East Mysterious Heaven Pavilion and rescue Grandfather's soul. Having cultivated another Dharma body, Su Fang was naturally overjoyed and filled with hope at the same time. Buzz! A token in his body vibrated. As soon as he took it out, the voice of the middle-aged woman from the Chamber of Commerce could be heard. Young Master, the Chamber of Commerce has found out the information you asked us to find out about ancient Blue City. Su Fang replied, "Send it to my cave residence." After 30 minutes, Qiu Shuiqing came to the outside of the boundary in the depths of the cave residence. "My lord, the jade slip sent by the Chamber of Commerce has arrived." "Got it." A divine power passed through the boundary, wrapped around the jade slip in Qiu Shuiqing's hand, and flew into the boundary. Su Fang sensed the information in the jade slip, and his eyebrows immediately furrowed. The Chamber of Commerce's ability to do things was indeed extraordinary. In the past 1,000 years, they had clearly investigated the details of ancient Blue City. In the heaven-forsaken wilderness, ancient Blue City was not a big force. Moreover, most of the cultivators in the city were from the heaven-forsaken slave clan of the low-level universe. Therefore, ancient Blue City was at most a second-rate force in the heaven-forsaken wilderness. The current ancient Blue City Lord was only at the intermediate Dao Lord realm, but he had extraordinary magical powers and had once killed an upper Dao Lord realm expert. In addition, there were some junior disciples with extraordinary potential in ancient Blue City, especially Yang Dingtian, who was regarded as a famous genius in the entire heaven-forsaken wilderness. Moreover, there was a mysterious expert hidden in ancient Blue City, who was said to have a powerful strength that surpassed the Dao Lord realm. However, this person was really mysterious, and even the Chamber of Commerce could not find out detailed information about this person. They only knew that this person was the founder of ancient Blue City, and his name was Pan Song. Heavenly Lord Pan Song, there is indeed a Dharma body in ancient Blue City. Let's ignore him for the time being. When I come out of the Blood Valley, I will go to ancient Blue City and completely end the feud between us. Su Fang revealed a domineering smile. At this time, he had enough confidence to face the heavenly Lord that he once looked up to and worshipped. Next, Su Fang continued to stay in the cave residence, constantly improving the strength of the blood demon Dharma body with the vitality of the experts. He did not have many elixirs in his hands now, but he had many corpses of the experts. He even had the corpse of a peerless expert that surpassed the Dao Lord realm, which was just right to cultivate the blood demon Dharma body. Su Fang once again settled into the state of cultivation, causing some people to wait until the flowers wilted. Other than Zhu Xan, Ling Xingqian, and the white-faced cultivator, there were also the higher-ups of the Chamber of Commerce. The middle-aged woman from the Chamber of Commerce personally sent the news to Su Fang, but did not see Su Fang. When she returned to the Chamber of Commerce, a thought broke through the air and turned into the figure of an elder. "Did you find out when that person left?" The elder's figure asked majestically. The middle-aged woman said respectfully, "Elder, I did not see that person in the cave residence. However, according to this subordinate's estimation, it won't be long before he ends his cultivation. Keep a close eye on him. If he escapes, you can expect the anger of the higher-ups of the Chamber of Commerce." "Yes. However, isn't it inappropriate for the Chamber of Commerce to do this?" How can there be real rules in the heaven-forsaken desolate region? In the past, the Chamber of Commerce did not attack customers because it did not meet a target that could make the Chamber of Commerce attack. That cultivator is the best target. As long as we don't attack him in Dallas City and alert the Dallas sect, who would know that it was the Chamber of Commerce that did it. I understand. That person didn't enter the Blood Valley directly from the cave residence when he inquired about it, right? Probably not. He did not receive the Blood Fiend token from the Chamber of Commerce, and he is only at the Dao True Realm. He will definitely die if he enters the Blood Valley. He definitely won't go in to die. That's good. Another 500 years had passed. Su Fong finally walked out of the formation and decided to enter the Blood Valley to train. Qiu Shuiqing came forward and bowed. He hesitated and then said, "My lord, that one Xiangjie has been contacting me all these years. How should we deal with this person?" Su Fong thought for a moment and said, "Let's go. Leave Dallas City." Su Fong naturally did not take that white-faced cultivator when Xiangjie had a heart. He decided to leave Dallas City because of the Blood Valley training. Using the Blood Fiend doppelganger, he could easily enter the Blood Valley space. However, after returning from the Blood Valley, he would still appear at the place he left. Su Fong was unfamiliar with Dallas City. If he was injured in the Blood Valley and met with an accident after returning, it would be quite dangerous. Therefore, Su Fong decided to find a very hidden place outside Dallas City, and then use the Blood Fiend doppelganger to enter the Blood Valley. After absorbing Qiu Shuiqing into the space inside the Xianhuang doppelganger, Su Fong left the cave residence and came to the bustling streets of Dallas City. Su Fong used nearly 10 years to visit almost all the chambers of commerce, but he did not find a single spiritual item that could nurture the heavenly Dao core. Without enough spiritual items, Su Fong could not nurture the heavenly Dao core. It seemed that he could only go to the eastern Xian divine domain to find it in the future. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Waves of sensing power swept past Su Fong, causing the heavenly secret life, shrinking technique, Dao runes to flash continuously. Su Fong looked nonchalant on the surface, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. Many people are thinking about me. That white-faced youth controlling Qiu Shuiqing and two groups of experts from different factions. One group should be from the Chambers of Commerce, but I don't know where the other group is from. Since you're courting death, I have no choice but to fulfill your wish. Chapter 2688. Su Fong flew out of the formation door of Dallas City and continued to fly unhurriedly. When he arrived at the void thousands of miles away from Dallas City, the dozen or so cultivators who had been following him finally could not hold back. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The dozen or so cultivators suddenly sped up and quickly caught up with Su Fong, surrounding Su Fong. The cultivator in the lead was the white-faced cultivator, Wen Xiangjie. The others were all Dao True Realm cultivators. Su Fong looked at that person calmly and said casually, "You followed me from Dallas City all the way here. What do you want?" Wen Xiangjie pointed angrily at Su Fong and gnashed his teeth as he said, "You actually dared to seduce my Dao companion and caused me to suffer extraordinary shame and humiliation. I swear that I can't exist under the same sky with you." The cultivators beside him also snapped angrily, as if they were filled with righteous indignation. Su Fong could not help but laugh. He looked at the white-faced cultivator's head and said with a smile, "If you want to extort my money and treasures, why do you have to come up with such a reason and dye your head green? Give up. How dare you seduce someone else's Dao partner and still be so arrogant? Suppress him and take his treasures." When Xiangjie and the other cultivators all shouted angrily, Su Fong smiled indifferently again. "If you want my treasures, you can take them with your strength. Unfortunately, you are not qualified to take my treasures. After we kill you, everything you have will naturally belong to us." When Xiangjie scoffed at Su Fong's words and was about to attack Su Fong, suddenly a thought swept across the sky and instantly enveloped Wen Xiangjie and his companions. Sword Chi exploded and killed more than a dozen people. Broken and incomplete corpses scattered in the void. 3 figures flew across the sky and surrounded Su Fong. The three of them were all dressed in black robes and wore cold black masks on their faces. It was impossible to tell their origins. All three of them were at least at the upper Dowlord level, and their auras were filled with a thick, baleful aura. Clearly, they had killed and robbed quite a few people in the past. The leader chuckled. "You're pretty smart, kid. You actually know that you've been targeted by us brothers. You seem to be a smart person. Obediently hand over all the treasures you have. We brothers aren't ruthless people. When the time comes, we'll leave you with an intact corpse." Su Fong sighed. The heaven-forsaken desolate region is indeed chaotic. Even the biggest merchant association is doing business to earn money while secretly doing things like killing people and stealing their treasures without any capital. The leader hurriedly denied. "We brothers are great bandits who roam the heaven-forsaken desolate region. We have nothing to do with the Chamber of Commerce." Another person shouted, "What's the point of talking so much nonsense? Just kill him and take his treasures." Su Fong was just about to test the strength of his newly cultivated blood fiend avatar. The three experts sent by the Chamber of Commerce had taken the initiative to come to him. It was like sending charcoal in snowy weather. Just as he was about to activate the blood fiend avatar, a very ethereal feeling swept past Su Fong, causing the Tao runes of the Heaven's secret life shrinking technique to flash rapidly. Then, it condensed into the shadow of Heartbreaker. That expert from the three Taishang mysterious sects. Last time, she mysteriously escaped. I didn't expect her to come again. Su Fong's expression changed slightly. Then, a ruthless look flashed in his deep eyes. If that expert from the three Taishang mysterious sects had not escaped in time, Su Fong would have been able to severely injure her with the help of the six extreme Tao Saint avatar. This time, the other party was still lingering around. Su Fong had to teach her a lesson no matter what, so that she wouldn't continue to pester him. Su Fong looked at the three experts from the Chamber of Commerce who were disguised as thieves and said regretfully, "Someone has taken a fancy to the treasure on my body. It seems like you guys aren't qualified to obtain it. In the heaven-forsaken desolate region, who dares to snatch food from us brothers? You're courting death," the leader said disdainfully. Su Fong sneered and said, "You guys aren't even afraid of the three Taishang mysterious sects." "Or the three Taishang mysterious sects." "What?" "The three Taishang mysterious sects." The three experts from the Chamber of Commerce's expression changed instantly. They couldn't help but shrink back. The leader shouted coldly, "So what if you're from the three Taishang mysterious sects? This is the heaven-forsaken desolate region. The name of the three Taishang mysterious sects can't scare us brothers. You guys don't know the meaning of death. Go to hell." Heartbreaker's cold voice echoed from the void. Immediately after, the space surged. Black cracks quickly condensed and swept towards the three experts from the Chamber of Commerce. Spatial divine ability. It's an expert from the three Taishang mysterious sects. The three experts from the Chamber of Commerce turned pale with fright. They hurriedly executed their divine abilities or activated their Xian bow to defend themselves. Swoosh! Swoosh! Under the sharp spatial blades, the three experts from the Chamber of Commerce's defense was as weak as tofu. Even their physical bodies and avatars couldn't escape. They were sliced and shredded by the sharp spatial blades. Immediately after, a withered big hand that was formed by a thought stretched out from the space. It was filled with the will of the heavenly way that could suppress everything and the power of space. It imprisoned the space around Su Fong and caught Su Fong. Poof! Who would have thought that what he caught was an illusion, and it shattered upon contact. Su Fong, on the other hand, appeared 1,000 feet away. He executed the burning light escape technique. His figure flashed, and he instantly disappeared without a trace. This kid actually mastered the time great Tao divine ability. When combined with his illusory technique, even I was careless and fell into his trap. A praying mat with a divine power that distorted the space flashed out from the void. There were two figures standing in the praying mat. They were Heartbreaker and Ling Xingchen. Heartbreaker sensed the remaining energy fluctuation in the space and couldn't help but be shocked. When she was pursuing Su Fong the last time, Heartbreaker had sent a thought into Su Fang's body in an attempt to suppress it. In the end, not only did Su Fang borrow the power of the Six Extreme Great Tao Saint to seal the thought, but he also used the heavenly divination solution to comprehend the time Great Tao divine ability from the Taoist rhyme in the thought. Although it wasn't considered a divine ability and could only be considered superficial, Su Fang combined with the ability of the flaming dream illusory cloud to create illusions. Heartbreaker was careless, and even she was fooled. Once again, Su Fang escaped. "You ant, you have finally angered me. Even if I have to pay a small price, I will capture you." After letting Su Fang escape, Heartbreaker was furious. She sent out her sensing power to sense Su Fang's aura. However, Su Fang seemed to have evaporated into thin air. How could she sense his aura? Heartbreaker sneered. "I have already expected that you have the means to conceal your destiny aura. However, I have the heaven-searching mirror. As long as you are still in the heaven-forsaken wilderness, you won't be able to escape from my pursuit." Heartbreaker took out a silver mirror with her right hand. It was the heaven-searching mirror of the three supreme mysterious sects. The Xianbao's ability was very unique. As long as it was something that happened in the space, it would leave behind information that ordinary people couldn't sense. With the heaven-searching mirror's ability, one could see it clearly and capture the target's location. Although Su Fang used the life-shrinking skill to conceal his aura, it was impossible for him to erase all the information that had existed before. Soon, Heartbreaker found the place where Su Fang last disappeared with the help of the heaven-searching mirror. It was in a nebula formed by dust and debris. "Despicable rat, let's see where you can run to this time." Heartbreaker sneered. She activated the futon beneath her and teleported into the nebula in a flash. "Get the hell out here." Heartbreaker released a thought that emitted a terrifying spatial power. It instantly dispersed the nebula in front of her and formed a spatial territory that was under her control. Su Fang's figure was revealed. What was strange was that even though he was discovered by Executioner Grandma and was in danger of being suppressed, there was no trace of panic on his face. Instead, there was a mocking look on his face. He looked at Executioner Grandma and Ling Xingqian as if he was looking at two prey that had entered a trap. Ling Xingqian shouted, "Watch out, Martial Ant Heartbreaker!" Heartbreaker was also shocked. However, her face was filled with disdain. She scoffed, "What can a mere true Tao cultivator do?" As soon as she finished speaking, Chi, Chi, Chi. Su Fang had already hidden the thoughts of the six extreme Tao saints in the nebula. They exploded under the control of Su Fang's divine thought. This nebula was previously covered by Su Fang's life shrinking technique rune and disturbed the heaven's secrets with the heaven's mystery solution. Furthermore, all of Executioner Granny's attention was focused on Su Fang. She didn't expect Su Fang to be so bold as to counterattack her. She was caught off guard and was immediately engulfed by the power of the thought. The powerful force contained in the thought triggered the six extreme Tao Saints' divine might. It struck the outer defense of the futon and shattered it layer by layer. The six Taos of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and lightning, as well as the powerful will of the six extreme Tao Saints, penetrated the futon's defense and attacked Heartbreaker and Ling Xingqian's Tao Palaces and Tao Hearts. Chi! A golden shield appeared from Heartbreaker's head. It gave off a supreme will of the heavenly Tao and shattered the six extreme Tao Saints' will and Taos. She was indeed an elder of the three supreme mysterious sects. She had a supreme Xianbao that specialized in defending against thought attacks. Even the thought attacks of the six extreme Tao Saints could not do anything to her. Su Fang's attack was not just a thought attack. Whoosh, a figure charged out from the nebula. It was a statue that looked like it was carved out of white jade. It did not have any aura of life, but it gave off a domineering aura. QL 11-inch 6 Extreme Tao Saint. Ling Xingqian exclaimed. That statue was the 6 Extreme Tao Saint's Dharma body. Su Fang had merged his Tao heart and will. It was being controlled by Su Fang's thoughts and was about to kill Heartbreaker. A Tao Saint expert. Heartbreaker's face turned pale, and her eyes were filled with fear. She immediately moved the futon under her and wanted to escape. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The six extreme Tao, Saint's Dharma body, opened its eyes, and six different colored Xianguang appeared. It instantly covered the futon that was about to disappear. Boom, boom. Chapter 2689. After Su Fong controlled the six extreme Tao sages' celestial body and unleashed a terrifying attack, his mental state became sluggish. The difference between him and the six extreme Tao sage was too great. Although he had merged with the six extreme Tao sages' Tao heart and willpower, the six extreme Tao sages' celestial body was still beyond what he could bear. Su Fong was like a child now. He carried a huge hammer and smashed Executioner Grandma away. His strength was also depleted by the hammer. Fortunately, he did not lose control. Otherwise, he would be in danger of being smashed to death by the hammer. Then, Su Fong moved his mind and kept the six extreme Tao sages' celestial body into the Jiuquan Tao Palace. When the power of the explosion subsided, there was a huge black hole left in the void, swallowing the surrounding nebula continuously. That expert from the three supreme mysterious sects should be dead now, right? Su Fong wiped the sweat off his face as a feeling of exhaustion gushed out from his entire body. It was not the exhaustion of energy, but the exhaustion of his primordial spirit and willpower. It was too shocking. Little did he know, whoosh. A Xianguang flashed out from the shattered space. It was Executioner Grandma and Ling Xingchen. Executioner Grandma's futon Xian Bao that could travel through space was destroyed by the six extreme Tao sages' shocking attack. In addition, Executioner Grandma took out a life-saving rune to defend herself. Only then did she manage to survive. However, Executioner Grandma was also severely injured. Her life force was extremely weak, and there were wounds all over her body. In some places, one could even see her damaged internal organs. Executioner Grandma's body was severely injured. The body was the foundation of a cultivator. Although the celestial body could still survive after the body was destroyed, it would affect her future cultivation. On the other hand, Ling Xingchen was safe because he had activated his life-saving rune and was protected by Executioner Grandma. He's not dead yet. Su Fong was surprised and shocked. He did not expect that he had underestimated the strength of the expert from the three highest mysterious sects. Brat, I will let you have a taste of your Tao heart being cut into pieces. Executioner Grandma looked at Su Fong, and her eyes were filled with hatred. You will have to catch me first. Su Fong smiled coldly and merged the blood-evil Dharmakaya with his physical body. An astonishing, murderous aura gushed out and soared into the sky before disappearing into nothingness. When Executioner Grandma saw this, her expression changed instantly. She immediately ordered Ling Xingchen. This is bad. He is trying to escape into the Blood Valley. Ling Xingchen, capture this person at all costs. Yes. Without any hesitation, Ling Xingchen pounced towards Su Fong. Although he looked ferocious, he was actually half a beat slower. Only when he was about 300 meters away from Su Fong did he release his thoughts to attack. Even if Zhu Xian Granny captured Su Fong, the six extreme Tao sages' celestial body wouldn't have a share of Ling Xingchen. Now that Su Fong had escaped into the Blood Valley, it was Ling Xingchen's chance. How could he miss it? Thus, when he attacked, he was slightly slower. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A burst of space vibrated, and divine power rose from above Su Fong. In an instant, it transformed into a blood-red light that enveloped Su Fong. When Ling Xingchen's thought attack came into contact with the blood-red light, it was immediately shattered. It didn't even cause a ripple. At the source of the blood-red light, a whirlpool that was surging with blood-red light rapidly appeared. It looked like a bloody eye that released a terrifying, devouring divine power and sucked Su Fong into it. Soon, everything returned to normal. It looked as if nothing had happened. Damn it, I actually let him escape again. Executioner Grandma let out a sharp and furious roar. The vibrations caused the surrounding space to ripple like a lake. Ling Xingchen was secretly delighted. However, His face revealed a surprised and angry expression. He cupped his fist and bowed to Executioner Grandma. "Don't worry, Masters Junior Zhu Exe. I will enter the Blood Valley now. I will definitely capture Su Fong alive and send him to you. What are you waiting for?" Executioner Grandma seemed to be in a frenzy as she shouted at Ling Xingchen. "Then I will go. I will not disappoint you this time." Ling Xingchen bowed to Executioner Grandma politely. Then he released a murderous aura and triggered the space portal to the Blood Valley. He was sucked into the portal with pride and anticipation and disappeared without a trace. "I will guard here. If that kid doesn't come out for 1,000,000 years, I will guard here for 1,000,000 years. Unless he dies in there." Grandmother Executioner reached out her hand and grabbed a huge object. Then she cast a formation and sat down cross-legged on the object. As soon as he was done, an old voice could be heard from the void. "What is it that made Elder Zhu Exan of the 3 highest mysterious sects so angry?" As soon as the voice fell, an old man in a golden robe stepped out of nothingness. Executioner Grandma raised her white eyebrows. "An expert from the Chamber of Commerce? Oomph. Since when does the Chamber of Commerce have the right to interfere with my business?" It turned out that the elder was the expert behind the Chamber of Commerce. His cultivation level was on par with Executioner Grandma's. The elder said with a smile, "To the 3 supreme mysterious sects, the Chamber of Commerce in the heaven-forsaken wilderness is naturally nothing. However, Elder Zhu Xian has killed 3 experts from the Chamber of Commerce. Shouldn't you give me an explanation?" Executioner Grandma snorted. 3 experts from the Chamber of Commerce? Dizzy? Zue? Uranium? Qian? Position? Neo? Are you toying with me? Hooking up with? Loyalty? Do you want to knock someone out? Aunt? Qian? Hugging Sang Jun, the elder was still wary of the 3 supreme mysterious sects and did not dare to pursue the matter further. However, he did not leave. Instead, he stopped in the void not far away from Executioner Grandma and took out an Xian Bao. It turned into a palace and floated there. It seemed like he was planning to stay here for a long time. Executioner Grandma shouted angrily, "What do you want?" The elder chuckled, "I'm curious. What does that young cultivator have that's worth Elder Zhu Xian of the 3 supreme mysterious sects staying here? I'll stay here and wait so that I won't be unable to sleep because of my curiosity." Executioner Grandma was furious. However, she could not do anything to the elder. Just like that, 2 peerless experts stood guard at the place where Su Fong left. As long as he returned from the Blood Valley, he would be mercilessly suppressed by the experts from the Chamber of Commerce and the 3 supreme mysterious sects. Su Fong was sucked into the door. Everything was out of his control. His surroundings were filled with blood-red light that kept changing. All kinds of creepy illusions flashed before his eyes. Whoosh, Su Fong was caught off guard when his body suddenly gained weight. The huge difference made him spit out a mouthful of blood. Cracks appeared on his body, and blood gushed out from under his skin. QL11 then, he fell heavily onto the solid ground. He felt as if his soul had been shattered. He stood up shakily and looked at the world around him. The space was covered with a layer of blood-red color. Everything he saw was blood-red. Su Fong was in a huge canyon that was millions of miles wide. There were towering blood-red mountains on both sides. Even with Su Fong's vision, he could only vaguely see the outlines on both sides. The heavenly Tao laws in this world were completely different from those in the mystic world. It was filled with astonishing killing intent. The entire world was filled with terrifying killing intent and killing intent. It constantly attacked Su Fong's Tao heart and will. It made his primordial spirit show signs of losing control. He could not help but want to go on a killing spree. This was not strange. A true, peerless expert could create a world with a thought. Their will could become the heavenly Tao laws. The Blood Valley was an independent space-time created by Dongxian Daozu with the body of an evil foreign race that he killed. All the rules in this space-time were naturally based on the remnant will of that evil foreign race. It was completely different from the natural laws of the mystic world. According to the information purchased by the Chamber of Commerce, one must appear with the Blood Demon avatar to enter the Blood Valley. Otherwise, one would not be able to adapt to the heavenly Tao laws in the Blood Valley. It seems that this is indeed the case. Su Fong hurriedly merged his blood, evil, celestial body with his body. The killing intent, constantly surging from the surroundings, was weakened to a bearable level. Then, Su Fong took out the map he bought from the Chamber of Commerce. After comparing it with the map, he found his current location. The entire Blood Valley was in the shape of a long dragon. It was divided into 4 areas: Heavenly Kill, Earthly Kill, Human Kill, and the outer area. The adjacent areas were separated by bounded domains. In addition to the outer area, the Heavenly Kill, Earthly Kill, and Human Kill were divided into 9 sections, called the 9 Passes. They were also separated by bounded domains. When entering the Blood Valley, the will of the Blood Valley would send a practitioner to different areas according to the level of his blood evil celestial body. Su Fong had merged with Yang Dingtian's blood evil celestial body and was a 9-star blood killer commander. Therefore, he was now in the 9th pass of the human kill area. Generally, only practitioners in the Tao Lord realm could become a blood killer commander. Su Fong had never entered the Blood Valley, but was a 9-star blood killer commander. It could be said that he was the only one. With such a high level, Su Fong's starting point was naturally much higher than that of other practitioners. However, it also brought a lot of trouble to Su Fong. When entering the Blood Valley, he was automatically transmitted to an area that should only be accessible to Tao Lord cultivators. Just when Su Fong was looking around curiously, with a hiss, a thin red line suddenly shot out from a blood mist floating more than 100 feet behind him. In a split second, the red line shot to less than a foot behind Su Fong's head. Its speed was amazing. Of course, it was not a red line, but a snake as thick as a chopstick. It was blood red all over and had no breath of life. Instead, it revealed a kind of evil and fierce evil chi. Bang! With an explosion under Su Fong's feet, he activated the flame-stamping boots and suddenly shot forward. The blood snake's attack missed, and it only paused for a moment before it shot towards Su Fong again. Su Fong suddenly turned around, and a red light flashed in his eyes. True eyes of burning destruction. Puff! The red light hit the blood snake's head squarely, causing it to fall limply to the ground. This should be the most common blood monster in the Blood Valley. Su Fong reached out and grabbed the dead blood snake. It floated in front of him and looked at it. Chapter 2690. Before the bloody aura dissipated, Su Fong opened his mouth and sucked the bloody aura into his mouth, which was then absorbed by the blood demon avatar. Su Fong could clearly sense that the blood demon avatar had become slightly stronger. The information was correct. Killing blood monsters and absorbing blood aura could improve the blood demon avatar. The blood snake that Su Fong had killed was just a low-level blood monster. Its effect on the blood demon avatar was almost negligible. Only the blood evil aura obtained from killing those powerful blood monsters could rapidly increase the strength and level of the blood evil avatar. If one was lucky, a gem called the blood demon stone would condense in the body of some blood monsters. It was similar to a crystal stone and contained the purest blood aura. It was more useful for the blood demon avatar. The blood monsters in the Blood Valley are formed from the remnant thoughts of the foreign race expert after he died. They are also formed from the evil thoughts and resentment left by the foreign race expert after he devoured human cultivators, Big Goblin, and other foreign races. They absorb the blood aura and form all kinds of blood monsters. As long as the evil thoughts and resentment are not extinguished and continue to absorb the blood aura, they can be revived continuously. This is equivalent to being unkillable. This shows how many blood monsters there are in the Blood Valley. The most dangerous thing is not the blood monsters, but the cultivators who enter the Blood Valley to train. There are also foreign races among them. Su Fong had already learned about the dangers in the Blood Valley through the information he had bought from the Chamber of Commerce. However, it was a different feeling when he was actually in the Blood Valley. If I enter the Blood Valley, the experts from the 3 supreme mysterious sects will definitely not let this matter rest. Perhaps Ling Xingchen has already entered the Blood Valley. That expert is probably waiting outside for me to come out. At this moment, Su Fong no longer placed Ling Xingchen in his eyes. However, Su Fong had to be wary of the experts from the three highest mysterious sects. QL-11 The Blood Valley was specially created for human geniuses to train. Only cultivators below the Tao Lord level could enter. Experts above the Tao Lord level were unable to enter the valley, so Su Fong did not have to worry about Executioner chasing him into the valley. However, after Su Fong left the Blood Valley, he would return to the outskirts of Pathless City. If Executioner Granny was there, it would be troublesome. The only way is to obtain the title of Divine General of Bloody Slaughter before leaving the Blood Valley. If Divine General of Bloody Slaughter is not enough, then I will become Divine Lord of Bloody Slaughter. At that time, why would we be afraid of the experts from the three supreme mysterious sects? Su Fong's eyes were brimming with confidence. Cultivators could not stay in the Blood Valley for too long. After a long time, their consciousness would be corroded by the blood and killing energy. They would either become monsters like the blood monsters or be assimilated into the Blood Valley world, forever unable to return to the outside world. Generally speaking, the longest a Tao Lord could stay in Blood Gorge was around 1,000,000 years. Su Fong was confident that he could obtain the title of Divine Lord of Bloody Slaughter within 1,000,000 years. At that time, Su Fong would be restricted by the Jiushuan heavenly laws set by the experts of the Jiushuan realm. He would not be afraid of Executioner Granny. Let's find a place to recover first. Before entering the Blood Valley, Su Fong had used up too much of his primordial spirit and Tao Heart's willpower by activating the 6 extreme Tao Saints Dharma body. He had only used the true Eye of Annihilation once, but he already felt exhausted. If he encountered a powerful blood monster in this state, he would be in big trouble. There were many restrictions in the Blood Valley, and a few of them were extremely disadvantageous to Su Fong. When he used a thought attack, he would attract a backlash from the massacre intent in the Blood Valley. The stronger the thought, the greater the backlash. This also meant that he could not release the 6 extreme Tao Saints' thoughts to attack. Otherwise, he would attract the massacre intent of the same level as the 6 extreme Tao Saint. With his current strength, even if he had the Rainbow Jade Tao Heart, he would be mercilessly crushed. Also, he could not release Xin Tiancheng, Ancestral Graygon, and the other experts under his command. Once they appeared in the Blood Valley, they would be detected by the Blood Valley's willpower. They would be treated as cultivators who had entered the Blood Valley to train and be sent to the outskirts of the Blood Valley. Su Fong swallowed an ancient pill to recover while carefully advancing into the depths of the Blood Valley. Finally, he found a small, bare hill. Su Fong took out the true Yang evil slaying sword and carved a cave that could only fit 4 or 5 people. The rock was extremely sturdy. Even with the power of the true Yang evil slaying sword, Su Fong had to expend a lot of effort. After entering the cave, he created a barrier at the entrance. Then, Su Fong sat cross-legged in the cave to recover. However, just as he sat down, the ground trembled. At first, it was very weak, but it quickly became stronger, as if there was an earthquake. Su Fong released his sensing power, and the divine light instantly changed. An enormous red-furred ape that was 300 m tall was obviously a formidable blood monster that was born in Blood Gorge, and it was chasing after over 10 cultivators. As it dashed with large strides, it caused waves of earthquakes and violent winds to whistle, and its impetus was extremely shocking. The cultivators were all extraordinary. The weakest among them was an intermediate Tao Lord. Among them, there was a young man in his early 30s. His cultivation had reached the lower Tao Lord realm. However, the giant red-furred ape's strength was extremely shocking. With a stomp, it set off a shockwave that easily shattered the rocks on the ground. Those cultivators were affected, and even if they did not die, they were heavily injured. A cultivator tried to fly through the air, but the giant ape threw out a huge rock that was the size of a small mountain, smashing him into meat paste. Fortunately, the giant ape would pause for a moment after killing the human cultivator. It would tear the cultivator's corpse into pieces and devour it. Only then did the remaining cultivators have a chance to catch their breaths and frantically fly towards the depths of the Blood Valley. There's a cave over there. There's a barrier at the entrance. Let's go in and hide. The strongest Dao Lord was instantly overjoyed when he saw the cave Su Fong was in, and he flew straight over. He was over 1,000 feet away from the cave entrance. The young man suddenly activated his flying sword and attacked the 3 cultivators closest to the giant red-furred ape. The 3 cultivators were caught off guard, and their legs were all severed by the sharp sword chi, causing them to fall heavily to the ground. The giant ape stopped and grabbed the 3 cultivators before devouring them. The young man activated his flying sword and forcefully tore apart the barrier at the entrance of the cave. Su Fong frowned, and a wisp of a fierce light flashed in his eyes. However, he did not attack in the end. The young man and the other 3 cultivators charged into the cave. The young man ignored Su Fong and immediately activated a formation to seal the entrance of the cave again. The other burly man unleashed Earth-type divine might, and a thick layer of rock quickly condensed at the entrance of the cave. The narrow cave instantly became a sealed space. Rumble. After the giant red-furred ape devoured the 3 cultivators, it lost its target and attacked aimlessly. Occasionally, a huge rock would fall outside the cave, causing the ground to shake. If this continues, we'll be discovered by that blood monster sooner or later. We'll all be finished. We have to lure it away. An extremely handsome young cultivator said in a deep voice in the darkness, and he looked at Su Fong with a vicious gaze. Although the cave was pitch black, it didn't affect the cultivators much since they were so close to it. The young cultivator saw that Su Fong was only a Dao True Realm cultivator, and he actually intended to let Su Fong lure the giant ape away. Even a Dao Lord would flee in panic when encountering the giant ape, let alone a Dao True Realm cultivator. The young cultivator clearly wanted to send Su Fong to his death. His intentions were truly ruthless. The fierce gaze of a young man with the strongest strength swept past Su Fong, and his deep eyes revealed surprise. After that, he decisively denied the handsome cultivator's decision. No, it's all thanks to this friend that we have a place to hide. How can we repay kindness with enmity? Not to mention this friend's cultivation isn't high. Not only will he be unable to lure the blood monster away, he'll expose us instead. Su Fong glanced at the young man with a rather surprised expression. With his ruthless methods from before and not hesitating to sacrifice his companions to win a chance to escape, he was absolutely a ruthless and merciless figure. Such a figure actually spoke about repaying kindness with enmity, and it couldn't help but be slightly laughable. Su Fong naturally wouldn't believe his nonsense. Fortunately, even though the giant red-furred ape was strong, it obviously didn't possess any intelligence, and it only acted by relying on its instinct to kill. After it vented its anger, it took large strides towards Blood Gorge. Friend, I'm Huang Jiangpeng. May I know your name? Since Blood Gorge is so dangerous, why don't we work together to hunt the blood monster and divide the baleful blood chi equally? The young man smiled and extended an invitation to Su Fong. Su Fong only had a Dao True Realm cultivation, and in the eyes of Dao Lord Realm cultivators, he was like an ant. At this moment, he looked dispirited and listless, so who would take him seriously? However, this young man named Huang Jiangpeng was actually so polite to Su Fong, causing the handsome cultivator to be surprised. The simple and honest-looking man grinned at Su Fong. I'm Gao Tianlei from ancient Blue City. Kid, you're so weak, yet you dare to come to Blood Gorge. You got guts. Come with us, and we can take care of each other. This man's name was resounding, and his voice was like muffled thunder. However, there was something wrong with his brain. From ancient Blue City, Su Fong glanced at the man. He didn't expect to meet a cultivator from ancient Blue City here. This person's aura was clearly different from the aura of Jioshuan God Realm cultivators. He should be a cultivator from a low-level universe, which was the heaven-forsaken slave race mentioned by the heaven-forsaken desolate region. It's all thanks to you this time. Why don't you join us? Another woman chimed in. This woman was in her 20s, and she was an outstanding beauty. She had a peerless appearance that surpassed most women, and her voice was crisp and pleasant. "All right." Su Fong nodded and agreed. "My name is Su Jintian, and I'm a rogue cultivator." "Oomph." The handsome young man snorted and said disdainfully, "What qualifications does a Dao True Realm Ant have to join us? It's my shame to be with him." "Young Master Wu Dao." Huang Jianpeng hurriedly sent a thought to the handsome young man. Su Fong didn't know what they were talking about, but the handsome cultivator named Dallas looked Su Fong up and down and didn't say anything. Chapter 2691. When Su Fong joined the group, he quickly figured out the identities and backgrounds of the other four. The strongest and most ruthless Dao Master, Huang Jianpeng, was an itinerant cultivator from heaven-forsaken wilderness. Whether it was in a mystic world of the Joshuan God domain, Dao Masters were considered powerful experts. Huang Jianpeng was quite famous in heaven-forsaken wilderness. Other than cultivating the Crimson Blood Body, he had another purpose in entering Blood Valley. He wanted to make friends with disciples from Dongxuan's various factions and then find a way to join them. It was difficult for itinerant cultivators to survive in heaven-forsaken wilderness. There were actually many cultivators like Huang Jianpeng who wanted to climb up to the major factions. Young Master Wu Dao's identity was extraordinary. He was the son of the Taoist sex master. No wonder he was so arrogant. The beautiful female cultivator was called Zhong Diyun. She claimed to be from a small sect in Dongxian. She was young, beautiful, and had an intermediate Dao Lord cultivation base. She was obviously not an ordinary cultivator. The cultivator from ancient Blue City, Gao Tianlei, was simple and honest. His purpose in coming to Blood Valley was not the same as the other cultivators. Because he was the descendant of a low-level cultivator from the universe, he was born a slave of heaven forsaken, a slave with no freedom. As long as he could obtain the title of Divine General of Blood Massacre in Blood Valley, his family would be free. The strength of these four people was extraordinary. In fact, the cultivators training in Blood Valley's 9th trial all had the status of 9-star Blood Massacre Commander. No one was simple. It was very common for cultivators who came to the Blood Valley to train to work together to kill the blood monsters. However, Su Fong knew very well that if he really encountered any life-threatening danger, he could not count on anyone. It would be good enough if he was not stabbed in the back. With Su Fong's intelligence, he quickly figured out why the ruthless Huang Jianpeng was so polite to him. Su Fong's cultivation base was only at the upper Dao Truth realm, but he had the status of a 9-star Blood Massacre Commander. With his strength, this should have been impossible. In the Blood Valley, there were also cultivators like Su Fong who had a low cultivation level but had a high-level Blood Fiend Dharma body. However, these cultivators did not rely on their own strength. Instead, they were accompanied by powerful cultivators. When they encountered blood monsters, the powerful cultivators would attack and kill them. Then, they would absorb the baleful blood energy and cultivate the baleful blood dharma body. For him to be accompanied by an expert for his training, the identity of such a cultivator must be extraordinary. With the exception of some highly respected disciples from great forces, ordinary cultivators would never receive such treatment. However, although these cultivators who relied on the help of the strong to gain experience had extraordinary identities, they were all idiots. Even if they had a powerful blood demon dharma body, their future achievements would be very limited. Huang Jianpeng clearly misunderstood Su Fong, thinking that Su Fong was the same kind of cultivator. He was seeking to climb up to a great power and a cultivator with a noble status, but an idiot was exactly what he was looking for. How could he not be polite to Su Fong? All along the way, they encountered more and more blood monsters. Fortunately, they didn't encounter any more formidable blood monsters that were at the same level as the red-furred ape from before. After all, such formidable blood monsters were in the minority. The 5 of them had joined forces and killed many blood monsters all along the way, and their gains could be said to be rather abundant. Actually, it was mainly Huang Jianpeng, Gao Tianlei, and Zhong Diyun who were exerting their strength. Young Master Wu Dao rarely made a move, whereas Su Fong didn't even have a single chance to make a move. It wasn't that he was unwilling to make a move, nor was he intentionally concealing his strength. It was instead because he was stopped every single time by Huang Jianpeng, who wanted to curry favor with him. Su Fong just happened to have yet to recover, so he was happy to be free. However, when the baleful blood energy was distributed, Su Fong's share wouldn't be reduced at all. The others didn't say anything, but young Master Wu Dao was rather displeased. In the beginning, he was afraid of Su Fong's non-existent identity, so he didn't dare say anything. However, in the end, he was truly unable to restrain himself and started to mock and ridicule Su Fong. Around 100 years later, this time, the five of them encountered an extremely formidable human-faced blood python, and its strength was comparable to a peak beneath the Daolord realm. Just like before, Su Fong still didn't make a move, whereas the other four of them exhausted a great deal of strength and joined forces to heavily injure the human-faced blood python after a fierce battle that shook the heavens and the earth. In the end, young Master Wu Dao utilized a black Xian Bao, and it erupted with shocking might to shatter the head of the human-faced blood python and finally kill it. All of them exhausted an extremely great amount of strength in order to kill this human-faced blood python. Especially Gao Tianlei, the corrosive poisonous blood sprayed by the human-faced blood python on his right arm had practically caused him to be unable to keep his arm intact. The venom sprayed by the human-faced blood python contained a might that destroyed vitality, and the injuries it caused to the body were very difficult to be healed with vital blood. Even though Gao Tianlei's injuries couldn't be considered to be heavy injuries, they were absolutely not light. However, their gains were extremely abundant. After the human-faced blood python was killed, its body swiftly collapsed and transformed into a blood mist that covered an area of 3M, and it was completely filled with pure baleful blood energy. When they were distributing the baleful blood energy, young Master Wu Dao suddenly said, "I was the one who killed this blood python. Brother Huang's strength was the strongest, and he contributed the most as well. So, Brother Huang and I each obtained 30% of the baleful blood energy. As for the remaining, young Ms. Zhong Biyun obtained 2%, Gao Tianlei and Su Jintian obtained 1% each." Gao Tianlei's eyes revealed rage, yet he didn't dare say a single word. Su Fong's brows knit together, and he said casually, "I didn't contribute, so I have nothing to say even if I didn't obtain 1%. Gao Tianlei's injuries are rather heavy, so why did he only obtain 1% while young Master Wu Dao obtained 3%, just like Brother Huang?" Young Master Wu Dao glanced at Gao Tianlei and said with disdain, "That's because he's from the heaven's forsaken slave clan." Gao Tianlei clenched his fists, and the veins on his forehead bulged. The injury on his right arm began to flare up, and the poison was corroding his flesh, but he didn't notice it at all. Su Fong sneered. Gao Tianlei contributed the most and was injured. Just because he's from the heaven's forsaken slave clan, he gets less benefits. Just because you're from the Taoist sect, you get more benefits? Young Master Wu Dao said domineeringly. "That's right." Su Fong said decisively. "What an overbearing reason. I, Su Jintian, will never agree to such injustice." Young Master Wu Dao stared at Su Fong. "You plan to offend this young master for a mere heaven's forsaken slave clan?" Su Fong said in a clanging voice, "In my opinion, you're from the Taoist sect, and you're not much nobler than ordinary cultivators. Although Gao Tianlei is from the heaven's forsaken slave clan, he's not lower than anyone." Gao Tianlei looked at Su Fong in surprise. Shock and surprise flashed in the depths of his eyes, and it immediately turned into gratitude. Zhong Daiyun looked at Su Fong in surprise, and then secretly nodded. Huang Jianpeng hurriedly said, "How about this? Let's divide the blood qi equally, and we won't hurt each other. What do you think?" Zhong Daiyun nodded and said, "Yes, since the five of us have joined forces, we naturally have to divide the benefits equally." Young Master Wu Dao snorted coldly and said nothing more. Huang Jianpeng took out 5 jade bottles and collected the blood qi transformed by the human-faced blood python. After sealing the jade bottles, he divided them equally. The collected blood chi could be sealed for a period of time, but it couldn't be for too long, and it couldn't be taken out of the blood valley. Therefore, the 5 of them found a place nearby and opened a temporary cave residence to absorb the blood chi and cultivate their dharma bodies. Su Fong found a hill-like rock far away from the 4 of them and opened a cave residence with a flying sword. Just as he sat down cross-legged in the cave residence, Zhong Diyun's clear voice came from outside the cave's boundary. "Young Master Su, I have something to discuss with you. Can we talk in your cave residence?" "Why is Zhong Diyun looking for me?" Su Fong was startled and immediately made a seal to open the cave's boundary. Zhong Diyun shuttled through the formation and swept the cave residence with divine light. She said with a smile, "Young Master Su is really a righteous person. For Gao Tianlei, you don't even care about young Master Wu Dao. But young Master Su, you have to be careful. Young Master Wu Dao's identity is not trivial, and he is narrow-minded. After leaving the Blood Valley, you have to be careful of his revenge." Su Fong smiled faintly. Zhong Diyun continued, "I think with young Master Su's identity, you shouldn't be afraid of young Master Wu Dao. My action was superfluous." Su Fong said, "Miss Zhong, if you have something to say, just say it. You don't have to beat around the bush to get information from me." Zhong Diyun blushed when Su Fong directly pointed out her intention. She immediately said seriously, "Young Master Su is really insightful. I came here to ask for young Master Su's help." "Help?" Su Fong was startled and said faintly, "I don't have much of a relationship with Miss Zhong. Isn't it too presumptuous for Miss Zhong to suddenly ask for my help?" Zhong Diyun said with a smile, "Young Master Su is really a straightforward person. Then I'll get straight to the point. Actually, I want to join forces with young Master Su to search for treasures in the Blood Valley." "Search for treasures?" Su Fong chuckled. "There are blood monsters everywhere in the Blood Valley. Where would the treasures come from?" "Young Master Su, you're wrong. The Blood Valley is refined from the body of a foreign tribe's supreme expert. Not only does it produce all kinds of blood monsters, but it also produces some treasures that the outside world doesn't have. It's just that very few people know about this." "Is there really such a thing?" Su Fong didn't seem to be interested. What a joke. He now had the 6th extreme Dao Saint celestial body, which was equivalent to having a treasure mountain. Why would he be interested in the treasures in the Blood Valley? Moreover, his goal in entering the Blood Valley was the Divine General of Bloody Massacre and even the title of Divine Master of Bloody Massacre. Naturally, he wouldn't be distracted by searching for treasures. Zhong Diyun stared at Su Fong. "Young Master Su, are you not interested in the Rainbow Blood Lotus? I remember that young Master Su mentioned the Rainbow Blood Lotus to Huang Jianpeng before. I don't think young Master Su mentioned the Rainbow Blood Lotus out of curiosity, right?" "Rainbow Blood Lotus?" Su Fong's heart skipped a beat, and there was a flash of light in his eyes. Among the spiritual items required to nurture the pregnant Heaven's Path core, there was a spiritual item called the Rainbow Blood Lotus that was missing. However, in Wudao City, Su Fong asked almost all the chambers of commerce, but didn't find any information about the Rainbow Blood Lotus. He had never even heard of it. After joining the training team, Su Fong saw that Huang Jianpeng was knowledgeable. Hence, he intentionally asked Huang Jianpeng about the spiritual items that were missing to nurture the pregnant Heaven's Path core. The Rainbow Blood Lotus was one of them. Huang Jianpeng was also clueless. He didn't expect the treasure that Zhong Diyun mentioned to be the Rainbow Blood Lotus, and it happened to be in the Blood Valley. He couldn't wait to ask, "There's a Rainbow Blood Lotus in the Blood Valley?" Chapter 2692. Su Fong naturally wouldn't easily believe what Zhong Diyun said. After that, he raised a question. Blood Valley has existed for countless years, and countless cultivators have tempered themselves within it. Why haven't they noticed a Rainbow Blood Lotus? That's because the Rainbow Blood Lotus is extremely dangerous, and only experts at the peak of the Upper Downward Realm would be able to remain safe after entering it. Zhong Diyun explained. It turned out that the Rainbow Blood Lotus wasn't just dangerous, it was extremely hidden as well, and it was very difficult for cultivators to notice it. Even if cultivators noticed it, they wouldn't be able to return once they entered that area. The cultivators that tempered themselves in the ninth level were usually at the upper Downlord realm or lower Downlord realm, and there were very few cultivators with higher strengths. So, no one had noticed the rainbow blood lotus until now, and even if someone did, that person would perish within it. Su Fong continued. Young Miss Zhong, how did you know that a rainbow blood lotus exists within Blood Valley? Zhong Yun said faintly, my father entered that place once and was lucky enough to escape. However, he was heavily injured, and his life is hanging by a thread now. He saw the rainbow blood lotus with his own 2 eyes. Su Fong was still worried. Why did you go to the rainbow blood lotus? It's precisely for the rainbow blood lotus. You're doing it for the rainbow blood lotus as well? How many rainbow blood lotuses are there? Only one. Su Fong's brows raised. Only one rainbow blood lotus? Are you planning to share the rainbow blood lotus with me? Actually, I only want the roots of the rainbow blood lotus. In other words, the lotus roots are used to refine medicinal pills and heal my father. As for you, you're probably looking for the rainbow blood lotus to nurture the heavenly Tao core, so the rainbow blood lotus is sufficient. Su Fong's gaze suddenly became fierce. How did you know that I'm looking for the rainbow blood lotus to nurture the heavenly Tao core? Zhong Diyun smiled calmly. The rainbow blood lotus is only useful for nurturing the pregnant heavenly Tao core. Moreover, I cultivate the universe within my body. Back then, my father entered that place to search for the rainbow blood lotus for me and was injured. Naturally, I know about the pregnant heavenly Tao core. So that's how it is. Then where is the rainbow blood lotus located at the 9th level? When we reach that place, I will naturally inform young Master Su. Su Fong thought for a moment and asked, I still don't understand. Among us, Huang Jiangpeng is the strongest. Why didn't you invite him to help? There's also that young noble Wu Dao. His background is extraordinary, so he must have a peerless Xian Bao. Moreover, he seems to be in love with you. If you ask him to take action, he will gladly comply. Zhong Biyun snorted and said, although Huang Jiangping's strength is extraordinary, he will definitely die if he enters that place. Moreover, this person is vicious and merciless. How can I be at ease? As for that young noble Wu Dao, he is also an extraordinary genius. However, in my eyes, he is just an idiot. Then, she stared at Su Fong. Since young Master Su dared to enter the Blood Valley to train and become a 9-star Blood Kill commander and dare to ignore the identity of that young noble Wu Dao, there must be an expert accompanying you. It should not be difficult to enter the place where the rainbow blood lotus is. So young Master Zhong is here for the expert hidden by my side. Ha! Su Fong chuckled. Naturally, he would not explain anything. Allow me to consider for a while before replying. I hope young Master Su will reply as soon as possible. By the way, I would like to remind young Master that the rainbow blood lotus can only be found in the world where the foreign races live. If you miss this chance, the chances of obtaining the rainbow blood lotus will be slim. After Zhong Biyun finished speaking, she left Su Fong's cave abode in embarrassment. In order to help the heavenly lady cultivate the pregnant heavenly Tao nucleus, I must obtain the rainbow blood lotus no matter what. I don't know what dangers there are in that place. I must be careful. Su Fong thought for a while and made a decision in his heart. He would absorb the blood demon Qi to cultivate the blood demon Dharma body. Unexpectedly, Gao Tianlei came to visit him again. Gao Tianlei was a straightforward person. He was very grateful to Su Fong, not only because Su Fong spoke up for him, but also because Su Fong did not look down on him because of his identity. Looking at Gao Tianlei, Su Fong felt that they were in the same boat. Take these elixirs and recover. Su Fong took out 10 middle-grade elixirs. They were all given by Shixian's Daozu. They were ancient elixirs that were specially used for healing and detoxifying. It was a pity that Gui's current strength was not enough to detoxify Gao Tianlei's poison. Otherwise, there would be no need to waste these elixirs. Gao Tianlei was surprised and happy. He was very grateful to Su Fong again. Next, Su Fong settled down and entered a state of cultivation. Wantonly devouring the blood demon Qi allowed the blood demon Dharma body to improve by a lot. At the same time, Su Fang's physical body and the other Dharma bodies also swallowed the elixirs and merged with the spiritual items and thoughts of the six extreme Tao, saints' Dharma bodies. Not only did their cultivation improve, but the strength of the other Dharma bodies also improved a lot, especially the black and yellow Dharma body. As it was very similar to the six extreme Tao saints' Dharma bodies, it absorbed the six spiritual items inside the Dharma bodies and merged with the Dharma power Taoist rhymes in the Dharma bodies. The speed of improvement was the most shocking. About 1,000 years later, the five of them ended their cultivation and continued to move deeper into the Blood Valley. After passing through the harsh environment of the Blood Valley and killing the blood demons, the five of their blood demon Dharma bodies continued to improve. However, there was still a big gap between the blood demon commanders and the blood demon divine generals. On this day, the five of them came to a lake. Naturally, it was not an ordinary lake. The lake was filled with blood that was like fresh blood. It constantly bubbled and emitted a strong and evil blood chi and blood demon chi. The lake was 1,000 feet wide. Normally, the five of them could easily fly across it with their cultivation. However, in the lake, there was a blood demon that looked like a rhinoceros. However, it was 100 times larger than an ordinary rhinoceros. It floated in the blood lake, and its exposed back was like a mountain. Be careful. It's difficult to deal with this blood demon, even if we join forces. Huang Jianpeng reminded them as he tried to control a middle-grade flying sword to fly over the lake. Roar! The blood demon rhinoceros opened its mouth and sucked. A devouring force instantly shrouded the sky above the lake. The middle-grade flying sword flew uncontrollably into the blood demon rhinoceros' mouth. Crack! 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 The middle-grade Xian Bao was bitten into pieces by the blood demon rhinoceros and swallowed into its stomach. The expressions of Huang Jianpeng and the others changed slightly. Young Master Wu Dao looked at Su Fang and sneered. Previously, we were the ones doing the work. A certain someone was enjoying the fruits of our labor. Now, it's time for him to do the work. Huang Jianpeng and Zhong Jinyan frowned but didn't say anything. They wanted to test Su Fang's real strength and see what kind of experts were hiding around Su Fang. Naturally, they wouldn't stop young Master Wu Dao now. Gao Tianlei shouted angrily. That blood demon is so powerful. You're asking young Master Su to deal with it. You're sending him to his death. You've gone too far. Young Master Wu Dao said domineeringly. Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? If you dare to be so presumptuous again, I'll kill your family when we get out of the Blood Valley. Gao Tianlei immediately kept quiet out of fear and didn't dare to say another word. Young Master Wu Dao looked at Su Fang provocatively. Young Master Su, you won't just sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor, will you? Then leave it to me this time. Su Fang smiled casually. He observed the surroundings with his perfect vision and then slowly flew toward the blood demon rhinoceros. Screech! Su Fang activated the true yang, evil punishing sword with the returning essence sword art. A scorching and extremely sharp sword chi swept toward the blood demon rhinoceros floating in the lake. The blood demon rhinoceros defense was extremely amazing. Su Fang's true yang, evil punishing sword with a returning essence sword art was unable to break its defense. Instead, it enraged the blood demon rhinoceros. It opened its mouth and let out an earth-shaking roar. A devouring power instantly shrouded Su Fang. Boom! Boom! Su Fang's flaming treader boots ignited with flames and erupted with a powerful pushing force, pushing Su Fang to break free from the shackles and shoot forward. The blood demon rhinoceros leaped up from the blood lake and chased after Su Fang while treading on the blood waves. Not good. That idiot has lured the blood demon to the shore. Run! Young Master Wu Dao's expression suddenly changed, and he used his movement skill to escape. However, Su Fang changed his direction and used the flaming treader boots' amazing speed to lure the blood demon rhinoceros to a mountain valley thousands of miles away and disappeared without a trace. Young Master Su is in danger. Let's go save him. Gao Tianlei flew over without hesitation. Huang Jianpeng and Zhong Biyun also followed from a distance. They wanted to see Su Fang's background and deliberately fell behind. Young Master Wu Dao saw that the blood demon rhinoceros was lured away by Su Fang and stopped running. After a moment of hesitation, young Master Wu Dao also flew toward the mountain valley. However, he always kept a distance to prevent the blood demon rhinoceros from coming back after killing Su Fang. Gao Tianlei rushed into the mountain valley. First, he saw Su Fang standing in the air. Then he saw that there was a huge pit on the ground of the mountain valley. It was actually caused by a divine ability. The material in the blood valley was extremely strong. To be able to create such a huge pit, it was at least a Dao Lord expert. Moreover, it was not an ordinary Dao Lord. The blood demon rhinoceros's huge body had been blasted into pieces. It was constantly collapsing and turning into blood demon chi. Gao Tianlei stared at Su Fang, dumbfounded. He did not know whether Su Fang's hidden experts or Su Fang himself had done it. It was Su Fang who was able to kill a powerful blood demon rhinoceros by fusing the power of Xian Tianxing and other experts with his Xianwang Dharma body. After cultivating the Xianwang Dharma body, Su Fang not only possessed the 6 great divine powers, but also the former ability of Xianwang's 6 Paths Pagoda, which allowed him to infiltrate the power of his subordinates into his Dharma body. In this way, Su Fang had the powerful strength to easily kill an ordinary Dao Lord at the upper realm of Dao Truth. The Xianwang Dharma body was so powerful. QL11 Su Fang took out a jade bottle that was specially used to collect blood demon chi and collected all of it. The blood demon rhinoceros was extremely majestic. It was more than 10 times more than the human-faced blood python that he had killed earlier. And what's that? Chapter 2693. A stream of pure blood chi flowed into his body from his palm, causing the blood demon Dharma body to tremble. The blood-red robe on the blood demon Dharma body rippled, and the 9 black stars patterned on it also trembled. It contains such a shocking amount of blood chi. It's 10 times more majestic and high-grade than the blood chi of the rhinoceros blood monster. Could this be the blood demon stone? Su Fang was surprised and delighted. He estimated that this blood-red crystal was enough to upgrade his blood demon Dharma body. Even if he couldn't become a blood killer divine general, he wouldn't be far from it. Blood demon stone. Young Master Su, your luck is simply heaven-defying. You actually got a blood demon stone. Gao Tianlei stared at the blood-red crystal in Su Fang's hand like a hungry wolf staring at a piece of fat meat. Blood demon stone. Huang Jiangpeng and Zhong Biyun, who had just entered the call, looked at Su Fang with eyes full of vigor. Huang Jiangpeng's deep eyes were full of unconcealable greed. However, when he saw the big pit on the ground, he immediately gasped, and the greed in his heart disappeared. Zhong Biyun was also shocked. They were now sure that Su Fang was definitely a disciple from a big force. There were experts hidden around him who killed the blood monster for him. Otherwise, with Su Fang's cultivation base, how could he kill a rhinoceros blood monster that was comparable to a Dao master? Young Master Wu Dao also flew into the call and shouted, I don't want the blood chi of killing this blood monster. I only want that blood demon stone. Su Fang turned a deaf ear to him. He sealed the blood demon stone and absorbed it into the Jiushuan Dao Palace. This blood demon stone contained pure and high-grade blood chi. He didn't even plan to use it himself. He decided to get it to Law to integrate. Law was from the Azura Divine Clan, a clan born to kill. Law had integrated with a fruit of sin and devoured the blood essence of many experts, as well as spiritual objects that contained life blood chi. At this time, he was about to reach a height beyond the Pangang universe. If he used this blood evil stone as a divine source, Luo henceforth strength would definitely be extraordinary. Su Fang had been thinking about his family and friends in the heavenly Dao avatar. He had been thinking of ways to improve their strength and transcend the Pansong universe as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the evil god descended and completely devoured the heavenly Dao avatar of the heavenly Dao, it would mean that everyone would not be able to escape death. The simplest way was to help his family and friends transcend the Pangang universe. Now that he had finally obtained a blood evil stone that could help Law, how could he give it away? Young noble Wu Dao flew into a rage, his face filled with killing intent as he shouted, Su Jun Tian, you dare to ignore this young noble? You wanted to use the blood monster to kill me, and you won the blood evil stone. Are all the people of the Pathless sect as shameless as you? Su Fong mocked. Young Master Wu Dao's baleful aura surged as he prepared to attack Su Fong. Huang Jiangpeng suddenly reminded him, Young Master Wu Dao, look below. Young noble Wu Dao was startled. He looked at the ground and suddenly took a breath of cold air. The baleful aura on his face disappeared in an instant and was replaced by shock and horror. Su Fong took out 3 jade bottles, which sealed the 3 portions of baleful aura obtained from killing the rhino blood monster. He waved his hand and swept them toward Huang Jiangpeng, Zhong Diun, and Gao Tianlei. Only young noble Wu Dao was not given a share. The 3 of them were surprised and delighted when they sensed the amount of baleful aura in the jade bottles. Young noble Wu Dao said angrily, Why is there no one for this young noble? Su Fong said coldly, You try to harm me. Seeing that we have joined forces along the way, I didn't kill you. You still want the baleful aura? Young noble Wu Dao was so angry that his teeth creaked, but he did not have the courage to attack Su Fong. However, in his heart, there was a strong, murderous aura surging. He wished he could devour Su Fong alive. Next, the 4 of them opened up cave residences in this call and absorbed the baleful aura. As for young noble Wu Dao, he was bored and left alone with a heart full of hatred. No one knew where he went. While Su Fong was sitting cross-legged in the cave residence, a thought passed through the boundary and turned into Zhong Diyun's figure. Young noble Su, have you thought about what we talked about before? Su Fong nodded and said, I am determined to get the 7-color blood lotus. Naturally, I will not refuse. But let me say the ugly words first. If you intend to hide anything or want to use me, don't blame me for being ruthless. Young noble is indeed a straightforward person. It seems that there is hope for my father's injury to be healed. The expert hidden by young noble's side can easily kill Dao Master. How would I dare to hide anything from young noble, let alone use young noble? That's for the best. QL11 after ending the conversation with Zhong Diyun, Su Fong took out a jade bottle and began to wantonly devour the baleful aura with his baleful aura. His original body and other avatars also began to cultivate. His main goal was to cultivate the Jiuxuan limitless scripture to improve the foundation of cultivation. He also persisted in cultivating the heavenly secret life shrinking technique, the mysterious illusion of heaven, the extreme Dao Black Yang technique, and other techniques and abilities. In addition, Su Fong was also constantly pondering over the time quintessence that he had comprehended from Zhu Xian Popo's thoughts. He really wanted to have the time quintessence. Unfortunately, the time Great Dao in the Pansong universe was completely different from the Jiuxuan God domain. It was a low-level Great Dao and lost its effect in the Pansong universe. This also made Su Fong's powerful trump card unable to be used in the Jiuxuan God domain. That was the mediating destiny technique. The heaven revolving fate art was built on the foundation of the age of time, the Tianji life shrinking art, and the purple Qi Dharma spirit. It was a supreme art that Su Fong created himself. Without the age of time, he couldn't use it anymore. Previously, Zhu Xian Popo had tried to suppress Su Fong with her thoughts. In the end, that thought was sealed by Su Fong. Su Fong comprehended the Taoist rhyme of the time, Great Dao, in the thought. He was barely able to use the surface of the time Great Dao. If I can suppress Ling Xingchen, I will definitely be able to obtain the supreme cultivation techniques and divine abilities of the 3 supreme mysterious sects. Su Fong was looking forward to meeting Ling Xingchen in the Blood Valley. Time flew by. Unknowingly, 3,000 years had passed. Due to the boundless blood fiendish qi obtained from killing the rhinoceros blood monster, which was of a higher level than other low-level blood monsters, it took a much longer time to absorb its blood fiendish qi. Absorbing such boundless blood fiendish qi was obviously beneficial to the blood-fiendish Qi. The 9 black stars on the blood-red robe became even darker and shinier. A shocking blood-fiendish Qi was surging within. Boundless blood-fiendish Qi was also surging within the blood-fiendish Qi. Su Fang's eyes were filled with fierce killing intent. It was estimated that he could destroy the Tao heart and will of an upper-level Tao truth cultivator with just a glance. After finishing his cultivation, he walked out of the cave abode. Huang Jianpeng, Zhong Biyun, and Gao Tianlei were already waiting outside the cave abode. Without young Master Wu Dao, the 4 of them continued to travel together in the Blood Valley. They hunted and killed blood monsters everywhere. After obtaining the blood-fiendish Qi, they continued to cultivate on the spot. The 4 of them had also become more tacit. They were no longer wary of each other like before. Only Su Fang seemed more and more unfathomable in the hearts of the other 3. Gao Tianlei was fine. However, Huang Jianpeng and Zhong Biyun did not see the expert hidden within their bodies. Instead, it was Su Fang who personally made a move. The strength that he displayed made the 2 of them look at him in a new light. How was he like the disciple of a major force who relied on experts to train? How would they know that there was no peerless expert within Su Fang's body? He was an expert who could crush ordinary Taoist masters. In the blink of an eye, close to 10,000 years had passed. The 4 of them had all reached the peak of 9-star Bloodkill Commander and could become a Bloodkill Divine General at any time. At that time, they would be sensed by the will of the Blood Valley and be directly teleported out of the human slaughter zone and into the earthly slaughter zone. During these years of training, they had also obtained many blood-fiendish stones. Su Fang had as many as 3 pieces. It was actually very simple for him to break through to the blood-fiendish body. He could directly absorb the blood-fiendish Qi within the blood-fiendish stones and advance at any time. Su Fang felt that his cultivation had also reached the peak of the upper Taoist realm. As long as he left the Blood Valley and survived the heavenly tribulation, he would become a Taoist lord. On this day, the 4 of them arrived at the edge of a boundless swamp. The swamp was extremely vast. Bubbles constantly emerged from the dark swamp. Above the swamp floated a hazy aura that revealed a strange aura of calamity and misfortune. Huang Jianpeng hurriedly stopped the other 3 and said with a solemn expression, "That's the Marsh of Calamity, and it's the most dangerous place in the 9th level. So long as one comes into contact with even the slightest aura of calamity and misfortune, then one's karmic luck will be corroded. If one is attacked by the evil will within the Marsh of Calamity and misfortune, then one might even lose one's life on the spot. That's the 9th level. It isn't just cultivators. Even those blood monsters don't dare step foot into it. We have to go around it." The Marsh of Calamity? Su Fang couldn't help but frown when he sensed the aura contained within the gray aura. Zhong Daiyun suddenly sent a voice transmission over. "Young Master Su, the 7-color blood lotus I spoke of is in the depths of the Marsh of Calamity." Su Fang was very surprised as he never imagined that the 7-color blood lotus would actually be in such a strange and dangerous place. Zhong Daiyun continued, "Young Master Su wouldn't be retreating, right? Don't worry. Even though the Marsh of Calamity is dangerous, the aura of calamity and misfortune are unable to pose a threat to peak Tao Lords. That expert hidden within the space within young Master Su's body was able to annihilate a blood rhinoceros that's comparable to a Tao Lord with a single strike, so he probably possesses a strength at the peak of the peak Tao Lord realm. Young Master doesn't have to worry about anything with his protection." Su Fang rubbed the tip of his nose and grinned. Even though he didn't possess a strength at the peak of the peak Tao Lord realm, he possessed the Violet Luck Avatar, and it was capable of dealing with all calamity and misfortune. So, it just happened to be of use within the Marsh of Calamity. I have to find a reason to separate from Huang Jianpeng and Gao Tianlei. Su Fang replied to Zhong Daiyun. Zhong Daiyun nodded. Of course. While the 2 of them were conversing, over 10 cultivators flew over from the sky. That's the person Ling Xingqian is looking for. One of the cultivators pointed at Su Fang and shouted coldly that was filled with complacency. Chapter 2694. Su Fong stared over. There was a total of over 10 experts that had come with young Master Wu Dao. All of them were in the form of blood fiend Dharma bodies and wore the blood-red robes of 9-star blood slaughter commanders. However, their cultivations were different. The person that was surrounded by over 10 people was a young man in black clothes around the age of 17 or 18. He had a handsome appearance, and his face revealed the arrogance and loftiness that only geniuses from great powers possessed. However, his cultivation was only at the lower Dao monarch realm. The two cultivators that stood on his left and right possessed extraordinary strength. One of them was at the upper Dao Lord realm, while the other was at the intermediate Dao Lord realm. Obviously, they were the young man's guards. This young man was the disciple of a great power that was of noble birth, and even had experts accompanying him while he was tempering himself. Su Fong sensed the aura of the three supreme mysterious sect from the young man and the two Dao Lords by his side. Su Fong knew that trouble had arrived. Ling Xingqian was unable to enter the 9th level, and this young man had obviously been instructed by Ling Xingqian to look for trouble. Moreover, it wasn't ordinary trouble. "You're Su Fong, Ling Xingqian?" The young man stood in midair with his hands behind his back, and he looked down at Su Fong and the others with a superior appearance. Su Fong nodded and said, "Yes, I'm Su Fong." Young Master Wu Dao berated loudly, "How audacious! Quickly kneel before young Master Chang's son." Su Fong ridiculed, "No one will stop you if you're willing to be young Master Changsuan's dog and kneel before him." "I, Su Fong, am not a dog, so how could I kneel before anyone?" "Kid, you're courting death." Young Master Wu Dao was furious. Huang Jianpeng asked, "Young Master Wu Dao, who's young Master Chang's son?" Young Master Wu Dao revealed a complacent expression and said proudly, "Young Master Changsun Yaoyong is the grandson of the Grand Elder of the three supreme mysterious sects. He possesses a noble status." "Huang Jianpeng, I advise you to leave Su Fong as soon as possible. He's a liar." When Huang Jianpeng heard the identity of young Master Zhang's son, he immediately revealed a look of shock and awe. Then, he looked at Su Fong in astonishment. Young noble Wu Dao said with disdain, "How could this person be a disciple of a great power? Not only is he from a lowly heaven-forsaken slave clan from a low-level universe, but he is also extremely daring and offended the genius of the three supreme mysterious sects, Ling Xingqian. Such a lowly ant. If you stay with him, you will also suffer great misfortune." Huang Jianpeng, Zhong Diyun, and Gao Tianlei were all surprised and shocked as they looked at Su Fong in disbelief. Su Fong casually said, "That young Master Wu Dao is right. I, Su Fong, am indeed from a low-level universe, and have offended the experts of the three highest mysterious sects." Young noble Wu Dao snorted. "You've shown your true colors now, haven't you? Huang Jianpeng, Zhong Diyun, come over here obediently and follow this young master. This young master will spare your lives." Huang Jianpeng hesitated for a moment, then cupped his fists towards Su Fong. "Brother Su, I'm sorry." With that, he flew towards Dallas. However, Zhong Diyun didn't move and had no intention of going over. Gao Tianlei said furiously, "Brother Su Jinqian, with me, Gao Tianlei here, let's see who dares to touch you." "Thank you, both of you." Su Fong nodded towards the two of them. Zhong Diyun transmitted his thoughts. "No need to thank me. I'm still hoping to enter the swamp with you to search for the rainbow blood lotus." Su Fong smiled as he replied, "I don't have any experts protecting me, yet you're still so confident in me?" Zhong Diyun smiled faintly. "No matter who it is that killed the rhinoceros blood monster, it's sufficient to prove your strength." At this moment, young noble Zhang's son, Yaoyong, spoke lazily. "Suppress that ant. This young noble is in a hurry to temper himself. If it wasn't for giving face to Ling Xingqian, how could I waste my time on an ant?" Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The 10+ experts behind Zhangsun Yaoyong, except for the two Dallas experts, fought to be the first to charge towards Su Fong. Zhong Diyun said hurriedly, "Quickly retreat into the swamp. They absolutely won't dare to pursue you inside. If you want to kill Su Fong, then you have to pay a corresponding price. Let's kill to our heart's content first, and then it won't be too late to retreat into the swamp. Su Fong revealed the loftiness of a peerless overlord, and his domineering voice was still reverberating. A violent and ferocious aura shot into the sky from the blood demon avatar, and it swept towards the 10-plus cultivators like a tide. At this moment, Su Fong had instantly transformed into a god of slaughter. "Kill!" he shouted coldly, and the flame-step boots beneath his feet emitted an explosive sound as his figure shot out violently like a bolt of lightning. Su Fong's blood demon avatar was different from that of other cultivators. It was seized from Yang Dingtian, and at the same time integrated with the immortal blood spirit and absorbed the vital blood qi from the experts who had surpassed the Dallas realm. Not only was it superior to other 9-star blood kill commanders, but the killing aura it released also contained incomparable violence and ferocity. Those cultivators who charged towards Su Fong were 9-star blood kill commanders, but under the impact of Su Fong's fierce killing aura, their Taoist hearts and wills were all shaken, and their eyes were filled with fear, and their bodies were also sluggish for a moment. Boom! A cultivator at the upper Tao Master Realm, under the impact of Su Fong's amazing speed with the help of the flame-step boots, was smashed into pieces, and his blood demon avatar and body were instantly devoured by Su Fong's blood demon avatar. In a split second, Su Fong came in front of Master Wu Dao. Master Wu Dao revealed an expression of shock and terror. Never had he imagined that when facing so many experts, not only had Su Fong not fled, he had even arrived by his side. "Die!" Su Fong shouted coldly in a domineering manner, and his slaughter intent attacked Master Wu Dao's Taoist heart and wills, and then he smashed Master Wu Dao's head into pieces with a single punch. Huang Jianpeng, who stood by Master Wu Dao's side, was terrified by Su Fong's formidable and ruthless methods. "You deserve to die as well." Su Fong looked at Zhang Sun Yaoyang, and monstrous killing intent covered the heavens and the earth as it swept over. "Ant, you're courting death." The intermediate Daoless realm cultivator behind Zhang Sun Yaoyang shouted coldly, and then a thought flashed out from between his brows. The distance between Su Fong and Zhang Sun Yaoyang was originally only around 300 m away, but the divine might emanated by the thought of the intermediate Daoless realm cultivator instantly caused the distance between them to become extremely far away. Su Fong was ceaselessly utilizing the flame-step boots. It was impossible for him to cross this distance in a short period of time. "Lowly ant, you actually dared to threaten young Master Zhang Sun. You deserve death." That expert at the intermediate Daolord realm instantly teleported over to Su Fong, and then he slashed his hand down to grab Su Fong. In an instant, the space around Su Fong seemed as if it had been frozen, and he was unable to move at all. He could only watch helplessly as that expert suppressed him. Hiss! Red light shot out from Su Fong's eyes, and it entered the Daoless realm expert's Dao palace from between his brows. "Ah!" The expert let out a shrill cry. He was caught off guard by Su Fong's true incineration eyes, and it directly burned his soul. "Damn it, it's all of you." Su Fong shouted coldly in a domineering manner, while a vertical eye suddenly split open between his brows, and then a strand of divine might shot out from within it. It instantly swept through the sky and transformed into a rod that carried an imposing aura capable of shattering the heavens and the earth as it smashed down forcefully onto that expert. Pooh! Blood sprayed towards the surroundings. At this moment, that expert's blood fiend avatar that had fused with his body had been smashed into mush and blood. Su Fong's blood fiend avatar executed the innate divine ability he'd obtained from fusing the undying blood spirit with the demon monkey. It was ferocious, overbearing, and actually possessed terrifying might. Swoosh! That expert's avatar emerged from within the blood mist and fled in an extremely horrified manner. Hiss! Hiss! Su Fong's blood fiend avatar directly swallowed the blood mist without holding back in the slightest. What sort of evil divine ability is that? It's actually capable of directly swallowing a blood fiend avatar. That expert's avatar that was lucky enough to survive cried out involuntarily with shock, and he gazed at Su Fong with extreme terror. Everyone deserves to be killed by such an evil person. The figure of that Taoist realm expert flashed out from behind Zhang Sun Yaoyang, and he instantly teleported over to Su Fong before a Xian Guang shot out from his eyes and enveloped Su Fong within it. Su Fong sensed that the flow of time in the space he resided in had suddenly slowed down, and it was even to the extent that the circulation of his consciousness had slowed down by a few times. When he recovered from his shock, that expert's right hand that carried the might of time had instantly appeared before his eyes, and it intended to annihilate him. Hiss! A strand of red light surged out from Su Fong's eyes, and it transformed into a multicolored illusion that caused that expert to be unable to help but be stunned. It turned out that Su Fong's Darkyang avatar had executed the ability of the Infernal Dream Illusory Cloud to create illusions, and it had caught that Taoist realm expert off guard and caused him to be dazed for an instant. After that, Su Fong's Blood Fiend avatar switched with his Darkyang avatar, and then the strength of Xin Tiansheng, Ancestral Gregon, and a few dozen experts under his command suddenly shot into the Darkyang avatar. Hiss! 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 Su Fong stretched out his hand to grab numerous strands of sword chi under his Darkyang avatar, and then layers of sword chi fused together around him. He'd actually executed the Origin Restoration sword formation as soon as he attacked. A circle of sword chi smashed down towards that Taoist realm expert, and it even sliced space into pieces. That Taoist realm expert was still in a state where his Tao heart and will have been lost to the illusions, and he was sliced into pieces by the Origin Restoration sword formation to the point he wasn't even able to protect his avatar. A Taoist realm expert had perished just like that. Moreover, he wasn't an ordinary Taoist realm expert, and he was an expert from the three sovereign profound sects. His strength was comparable to an ordinary peak Taoist realm expert. Huang Jiangpeng, Zhong Biyun, and Gao Tianlei gazed at Su Fong while tempestuous waves arose in their hearts. At this moment, they finally understood that Su Fong didn't need the protection of any experts at all. With the strength he possessed, could anyone stop him in the 9th level? You want to kill me, Su Fong? Are you prepared to die? Monstrous killing intent erupted from Su Fong as he gazed at Zhang Sun Yaoyang. Zhang Sun Yaoyang shouted in a domineering and cold manner. This young master is the grandson of the Grand Elder of the three sovereign profound sects. Even experts that surpass the Taoist realm in the sect have to bow obediently when they see me. You lowly ant from a low-level universe. If you dare to harm even a hair on my head, then not only will you lose your life, my grandfather will annihilate your entire clan. Idiot! Su Fong laughed coldly with disdain. He took a step forward and pounced directly at Zhang Sun Yaoyang, and then he fused the strength of all the experts under his command and smashed his fist forward. Swoosh! Zhang Sun Yaoyang withdrew a talisman, and then he crushed it, and it transformed into a lofty figure that stood before him. Rumble! The figure flicked its sleeve and swept out a strand of divine might that shook space, and it collided with Su Fong's attack. It caused a wave of great tremors that shook the heavens and the earth, and it actually blasted Su Fong flying. Chapter 2695. Talisman Treasure? What kind of treasure is that? It's actually so powerful. Su Fong was struck casually by that figure to the point his Sky Earth avatar was almost shattered. In the end, he fell to the edge of the swamp, and he spat out a mouthful of blood essence while his body was injured, causing his aura to instantly become dispirited and listless. At this moment, Shi Xian Daozu's voice resounded in the Jiushuan Dao Palace. That's a talisman treasure formed by an unparalleled expert who did not hesitate to sacrifice his own origin energy. When activated in a critical moment, the talisman treasure can unleash a portion of the unparalleled expert's power. The talisman treasure is comparable to an expert's avatar. However, every time it is activated, a portion of its power will be consumed. When its power is exhausted, the entire talisman treasure will be useless. I see. That Zhang Sun Yaoyang possesses such a powerful talisman treasure. It seems like his identity is indeed extraordinary. The three supreme profound sects are a super force in the Eastern profound divine domain that is second only to the Heaven Pavilion. In the entire Jushuan divine domain, it can be considered a powerful force. The cultivation of the great elder of the sect is even more powerful than the sixth extreme Tao saint. The talisman treasure that he personally created is naturally extraordinary. Its power is not below that of the sixth extreme Tao saint's avatar. It seems like I have no choice but to personally take action this time to resolve the crisis for you. Even Shi Xian Daozu had to take the initiative to take action. It could be seen how powerful the talisman treasure was. Master, there's no need for you to take action for now. Have you forgotten that this is the swamp, and I have the purple fate avatar? Oh, I forgot about that. Be careful. After ending his conversation with Shi Xian Daozu, Su Fong immediately shouted at Zhong Diyun and Gao Tianlei. Let's go. Enter the swamp. After saying that, he activated the flames, stampede, treasured boots, and charged into the gray sky above the swamp like a bolt of lightning. Zhong Diyun and Gao Tianlei were still immersed in the intense shock brought about by Su Fong's powerful strength. After being shouted at by Su Fong, they regained their senses and charged into the swamp without hesitation. They actually fled into the swamp. The three of them are dead. Huang Jiangpeng sighed, and then he felt fortunate. Su Fong can be considered to be an extraordinary genius. Unfortunately, he was too arrogant and conceited to actually try in vain to go against the three supreme profound sects. Fortunately, I drew a clear line of him was separated from him in time. Otherwise, he would be unable to escape death just like Zhong Diyun and Gao Tianlei. All of you, go in and capture that damned ant for me. The figure in front of Zhang's son, Yaoyang, swayed and quickly condensed into a rune talisman again. He grabbed the rune talisman and shouted angrily at the experts under him. That of Fong of you, is a you definitely dead. Fong, that Fong has fled of his of you entered of Fong. It at him, of him, of him, of Fong, of Fong it. It at Fong. It at it, of it. It of a Fong. Capture him. If he's alive, I want to see him. If he's dead, I want to see his corpse. That intermediate Tao Lord felt very helpless. It couldn't be helped because young Master Changsuan's face was much more important than their lives. All of you, enter the swamp. Don't blame me for being merciless if you dare to retreat. That Tao Lord shouted loudly and coldly at those experts, and then he led them carefully into the swamp and pursued Su Fong. Huang Jiangpeng, who had been secretly feeling lucky earlier, was now complaining incessantly. However, he had no choice but to brace himself and follow the others into the swamp. The moment Su Fong charged into the air above the swamp, the gray aura floating in the air surged madly towards Su Fong like moths to a flame. In an instant, an astonishing aura of disaster and misfortune enveloped Su Fong. Ordinary calamities and misfortune were a type of karmic luck as well. They couldn't be seen with the naked eye, and even the soul core couldn't sense them. Even if one was tainted by calamity or misfortune, it would not cause one to die on the spot. However, the aura contained within the swamp was capable of causing any living being to suffer from illness and decay, and it was capable of causing any energy or laws to collapse. It was even to the extent that it caused the quintessence, soul, and even destiny to be corroded by misfortune and calamity, causing it to go out of control and cause unexpected changes to occur. Su Fong was extremely shocked as well. There's actually such a terrifying place within Blood Gorge. Swish! A strand of violet light shot violently towards Su Fong, and Su Fong stretched out his hand to grab it. It turned out to be a violet-colored talisman. Zhong Buyun's voice resounded. This is a talisman that I condensed from the karmic luck of a profound world by utilizing a forbidden technique. It can resist the corrosion of the energy of the swamp, but it's very difficult to persist for too long. I wonder if I'll be able to find the rainbow blood lotus. A talisman condensed from the karmic luck of a profound world? Looks like you were prepared for it. Su Fong chuckled and activated the talisman. A mysterious violet xianguang that contained the power of karmic luck surged out from the talisman, instantly enveloping Su Fong's body. The aura of disaster and misfortune that swept over was instantly blocked outside the violet light, unable to cause any harm to Su Fong. However, it was still constantly corroding and wearing away at the violet light's defenses. It seemed like it was just as Zhong Biyun had said. This talisman wouldn't be able to persist for much longer. Gao Tianlei also obtained a talisman. He grinned. What's there to be afraid of? At worst, the three of us can become divine generals of Bloodkill in this swamp. The will of Bloodgorge will directly send us away. We'll leave this unlucky swamp and enter Bloodgorge's slaughter zone. The three of them had attained the peak state of 9-star Bloodgorge commanders a long time ago. Moreover, every single one of them possessed Bloodfiend stones. So long as they absorbed the Bloodfiend stones, they would be able to quickly advance into divine generals of Bloodkill and leave the swamp. Su Fong had annihilated the Bloodfiend avatar and body of that intermediate Dao Lord from the Three Sovereign Profound sect earlier, and he devoured the Bloodfiend energy and vital blood of that Dao Lord. If he hadn't sealed it intentionally, then he would probably be in a state of charging into the divine generals of Bloodkill. Now it would seem like we can only do that. Zhong Biyun spoke helplessly, and her eyes were filled with disappointment. It was easy to leave the swamp, yet they'd narrowly missed the 7-color blood lotus. So, how could you be willing to accept this? Su Fong chuckled. He was just about to utilize his violet fate avatar when countless bubbles suddenly arose from the swamp below them. Strands of dense gray and black aura gradually arose from within the bubbles, and they transformed into numerous human and beast-shaped phantoms that could only be seen through the soul core. Zhong Biyun's expression instantly changed, and her countenance instantly turned ghastly pale. Those are souls of calamity. There are actually souls of calamity. Let's leave quickly. Souls of calamity? It was something that Su Fong had never heard of. However, merely hearing its name caused a chill to run down their spines. Obviously, it was an evil being that was born from the Calamity Swamp. Souls of Calamity are evil beings that are unique to the Calamity Swamp of the Blood Gorge. According to legend, the Xeno-race expert that was killed by Dongxian Daozu had devoured countless lives while he was alive. There were human cultivators, demon cultivators, and Xeno-race experts. After a long period of precipitation and mutation, the resentment and baleful chi left behind by them formed these Souls of Calamity. Souls of Calamity are extremely strange. They specialize in devouring the karmic luck of living beings, and they bring about boundless calamity and misfortune. It's even to the extent that they're capable of controlling the fate of living beings. Moreover, Souls of Calamity can't be killed, and they're extremely difficult to deal with. Zhong Biyun continued with her explanation. As she spoke, numerous gray-colored phantoms pounced towards the three of them, and they came into contact with the violet light barrier emanated by the talisman markings. Pooh! Pooh! It felt like a group of moths were ceaselessly striking the lampshade, and it emanated numerous muffled bangs. The violet light trembled without end and blasted those phantoms away. However, those phantoms could not be killed, and there were countless of them. Under the repeated attacks, the protection released by the talisman markings could not be continuously worn down, and it would not be long before it was exhausted. At that time, what awaited the three of them was the fate of being devoured by the Souls of Calamity. Swoosh! Swoosh! The Dao Lord expert of the three supreme mysterious sects led a dozen experts and charged into the Calamity Swamp. Those are Souls of Calamity. Damn it, get out of here quickly. The Dao Lord expert's divine light instantly changed. Fortunately, he was only left with his Dharma body and was not restrained by the physical body. In addition, he had mastered spatial abilities, so he activated a divine power that distorted space and swept his Dharma body out of the Calamity Swamp. The other dozen experts did not have the strength of that Dao Lord expert. While they were still pondering over what the souls of calamity were, countless souls of calamity swept towards them with a whoosh. They penetrated their defenses and burrowed into their bodies, frenziedly devouring their fate. Su Fong, Zhong Biyun, and Gao Tianlei were also in danger. The protective divine power released by the talisman markings could not be maintained for long, and their defenses were about to be broken by the souls of calamity. Purple Fate Dharma Body. Su Fong immediately activated his Purple Fate Dharma Body and switched places with the Xianwang Dharma Body, fusing with his physical body. A mysterious purple light, filled with supreme fate, condensed into a halo and erupted from Su Fong's body. Chi, chi, chi. Wherever the purple light swept, the souls of calamity that could not be killed were shattered layer by layer. Like moths encountering a raging flame, they were instantly incinerated into wisps of black smoke and dissipated. Not only were the souls of calamity around Su Fong swept away, but even the densely packed souls of calamity around Zhong Biyun and Gao Tianlei were swept away like the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves. The souls of calamity that had surged like waves earlier were swept away by the fate of Su Fong's Purple Fate Dharma Body within a radius of 1,000 feet. A vacuum appeared. Zhong Biyun and Gao Tianlei stared dumbfoundedly at Su Fong, who had turned into two ice sculptures. Su Fong continued to use his Purple Fate Dharma Body, releasing a divine power that enveloped Zhong Biyun and Gao Tianlei. Not only the souls of calamity, but even the aura of calamity and misfortune above the swamp could not penetrate the area covered by the divine power. All hail the people of Su Fongda. Gao Tianlei reacted and let out a thunderous roar. Zhong Biyun looked at Su Fong with eyes full of disbelief. He muttered to himself, "Brother Su is indeed unfathomable. Brother Su Fong, save me. People of Su Fongda, save me." Huang Jiangpeng was forced into the swamp with the other experts. Like the others, he was also unlucky and was surrounded by countless souls of calamity. The souls of calamity could not be stopped by any defense. They've burrowed into his body and not only devoured his fate crazily, but they also brought diseases and death to his physical body and Dharma body. In just 4 to 5 breaths, Huang Jiangpeng felt extremely weak. More than half of his fate had been devoured, and black blood kept flowing out of his 7 orifices. It was a horrifying sight. Chapter 2696. Gao Tianlei sneered. "Huang Jiangpeng, you're such an opportunist. Didn't you pledge allegiance to that young Master Wu Dao? It's too late to beg for mercy now." Zhong Biyun also said, "People from Su Fongda, Huang Jiangpeng, cannot be saved." Su Fong nodded and said, "I have my own decision." Then, he looked at Huang Jiangpeng and the experts who were struggling on the brink of death and said in a majestic voice, "I can save your lives, but I will not do it for free. If I save you, you must submit to me." Huang Jiangpeng hesitated. Su Fong was a cultivator from a low-level universe. He was from the lowly heaven-forsaken slave race and had offended the 3 highest mysterious sects. Although his life was hanging by a thread, submitting to Su Fong meant that he could not escape death. How could Huang Jiangpeng not hesitate? An expert from the 3 highest mysterious sects sneered disdainfully. "I am an expert under young master Zhang Sun Yaoyang. Who do you think you are to be my master?" Another young cultivator who had pledged allegiance to Zhang Sun Yaoyang shouted domineeringly, "It won't be long before you become young Master Zhang Sun's prisoner. You still want us to submit to you?" Everyone has their own aspirations, whether you submit or not. "I, Su Fong, will not force you." Su Fong smiled indifferently. Under the protection of his Purple Fate avatar, he was about to bring Zhong Biyun and Gao Tianlei into the depths of the disaster swamp. "Submit. I'm willing to submit." Huang Jiangpeng shouted loudly. He was going all out now. He had to save his life first. Other than a few people who were still hesitating, the other experts also started to speak. Su Fong separated his palms and shot out rays of purple light that wrapped around Huang Jiangpeng and the others. The unparalleled power of fortune contained in the purple light swept away all the souls, calamities, and misfortune that had been enveloping them. Not only that, the purple light seeped into their bodies. Shrill screams that only their souls could sense came from the depths of their bodies. The evil spirits that had entered their bodies were also wiped out by the supreme luck of Su Fang's purple fate avatar. "Come over quickly," Su Fang shouted coldly. Huang Jiangpeng and the others were both surprised and overjoyed. They hurriedly flew towards Su Fang. Under the cover of Su Fang's purple fate avatar, they were finally out of danger. "Open your souls and accept this Lord's shackles," Su Fang said majestically. Huang Jiangpeng and the others had a total of 12 people. Although they were very unwilling, they had no choice but to obediently give up resisting. They allowed Su Fang to cast his vital spirit and the life-shrinking art of heavenly mystery to transform into layers of seal seeds, shackling their souls and even their fates. Even though none of these cultivators were Tao Lords, every single one of them was extraordinary and possessed strength comparable to an ordinary Tao Lord. Moreover, all of them were 9-star blood killer commanders. At this moment, when they were shackled by Su Fang, it was equivalent to 12 more formidable experts under Su Fang's command. Some of them had originally planned to pretend to submit to Su Fang and wait for an opportunity to break free from Su Fang's shackles in the future. They might even rebel against Su Fang and suppress Su Fang. However, after Su Fang shackled them, they discovered to their despair that not only were their souls shackled, even their fates were under Su Fang's control. Not to mention rebelling, they couldn't even think of rebelling. This was the power of the life-shrinking art of heavenly mystery. QL 11-inch, you must still be filled with unwillingness and think that submitting to my heaven-forsaken slave tribe is a great humiliation. It won't be long before you realize that submitting to Su Fang isn't a bad thing. Instead, it's a great fortune for you. Su Fang revealed a domineering smile, and then sucked the 12 experts into his Xian Wang avatar. Seeing Huang Jiangpeng end up like this, Zhong Buyun sighed in her heart. If she and Gao Tianlei had made the same choice as Huang Jiangpeng, they would definitely have ended up like Huang Jiangpeng and become Su Fang's slaves. The world of cultivation was like this. A single choice was enough to determine a cultivator's fate and future. There were still 3 cultivators who would rather die than submit to Su Fang. At this moment, they had already been devoured by countless souls. Their fates were even more miserable than Huang Jiangpeng's. Under the protection of Su Fang's purple fate avatar, the 3 of them quickly left this area and flew towards the depths of the adversity swamp. When they arrived at the place where the souls were extinct, the rune talismans given by Zhong Biyun were enough to deal with the calamities and misfortune in the adversity swamp. Su Fang also withdrew his purple fate avatar. Gao Tianlei advanced to God Lord of Bloody Slaughter first and leave the adversity swamp. To prevent the 3 supreme mysterious sects from taking their anger out on you, immediately return to ancient Azure City after leaving the Blood Valley. When I leave the Blood Valley, I'll go to ancient Azure City to find you, Su Fang instructed Gao Tianlei. You and Miss Zhong aren't leaving? Gao Tianlei asked in surprise. Soon after, he revealed an expression of enlightenment and chuckled. I understand. I'll be a hindrance if I stay here. It's better if I leave as soon as possible. Zhong Buyun's face flushed red. She glared fiercely at Gao Tianlei, but this made Gao Tianlei even more confident in his judgment. He smiled even more ambiguously. Afterwards, Gao Tianlei sat cross-legged in the air above the adversity swamp. He took out the Blood Fiend stone and madly devoured it. In a mere 3 days, Gao Tianlei's Blood Fiend avatar surged with astonishing Blood Fiend chi and disappeared into nothingness. A moment later, a bloody light surged out from nothingness and enveloped Gao Tianlei. Then, it forcefully swept him away from the space, causing him to disappear without a trace. Su Fang and Zhong Biyun continued deeper into the adversity swamp, as expected of the Blood Valley's forbidden ground for human cultivators. The deeper they went, the stronger the souls they encounter became. The rune talisman that Zhong Biyun condensed from the fate of the sealed world had long lost its effect. Only now did she realize how lucky she was to be able to meet Su Fong this time. If not for Su Fong's purple fate avatar, the rune talisman she prepared beforehand would have been completely useless. They would have died not long after entering the adversity swamp, let alone finding the rainbow blood lotus. However, it was fortunate that Su Fong had Zhong Biyun with him. She had the coordinates of the rainbow blood lotus. Otherwise, even if Su Fong knew that the rainbow blood lotus was in the adversity swamp, it would be difficult for him to find it in the vast adversity swamp. After flying for about 3 months, the two of them arrived at a body of water. Black blood water constantly roiled in the water, emitting a nauseating stench and the aura of calamity and misfortune. Su Fong had no choice but to activate his purple fate avatar with all his might and release a protective aura. It formed a barrier around the two of them to resist the terrifying aura that constantly assaulted them. After flying for more than 2 hours, Zhong Biyun suddenly exclaimed in surprise, "We're almost there." Su Fong displayed the extraordinary strength of a complete perfection saint and looked in the direction that Zhong Biyun was pointing at. 100 miles away, he could see his 7-colored light dispersing the surrounding aura of calamity and misfortune. In the center of the 7-colored light, there was a 1-foot-long lotus flower. It had a total of 7 petals, and each petal released a different color of xianguang. It exuded a divine aura, forming a sharp contrast with the evil and strange environment of the adversity swamp. That's right, that's the rainbow blood lotus. I didn't think that such a spiritual object could be nurtured in the depths of the adversity swamp. Su Fong's eyes flashed with a bright light. He was about to speed up Su Fong's flight in that direction. Wait, Zhong Biyun hurriedly reminded him. There's an extremely powerful and evil monster guarding the rainbow blood lotus. Back then, my father was injured by that monster. Although he escaped from the adversity swamp, it was difficult for him to preserve his life. His life is hanging by a thread now. Su Fong's eyebrows furrowed. What monster is that? Zhong Biyun shook his head. My father doesn't know the monster's name. He didn't even see what it looked like. When he saw the rainbow blood lotus, he was overjoyed and wanted to pluck it. In the end, he was ambushed by the monster from the bottom of the water. He relied on his supreme xianguang to escape. I see. Let's test it out first and see what kind of monster it is. Su Fong flew slowly towards the rainbow blood lotus. When he was a dozen miles away from the rainbow blood lotus, Su Fong waved his hand and shot out a ray of sword chi, shooting it towards the blood water below the rainbow blood lotus. The sword chi shot into the water. Chi, chi, chi. Invisible threads that even the primordial spirit could not see appeared. However, Su Fong could see them clearly in the state of his purple fate dharma body. They looked like the threads of a spider. In an instant, they appeared before Su Fong. The speed of the threads surpassed the limits of time and space. The power it contained was not formed from the natural energy of heaven and earth. It was the power of fate that was very similar to the power of the purple fate dharma body. The threads instantly sank into Su Fong's purple fate dharma body. Purple chi quickly flowed out of the threads. What the hell is this? It can swallow the fate of my purple fate dharma body. Su Fongdao was shocked. He activated the power of his purple fate dharma body, shattering the threads one by one. Hiss, hiss. The threads quickly shrank back. Then, a shadow slowly rose from below the rainbow blood lotus. He looked over. In the eyes of the purple fate dharma body, the shadow was a mass of white mist. It looked a bit like a spider, only 3 feet long. Ordinary cultivators would have a hard time discovering its existence. What the hell is that? Su Fong was shocked and stunned. Although Zhong Biyun could not see the spider-like thing, he looked over there cautiously. Shixin Daozu suddenly said, such a strange thing could be born in the Blood Valley. I didn't expect it. I really didn't expect it. Su Fong quickly asked, Master, what kind of monster is that? That monster is called a luck spider. It is not a beast. As for how it came to be, even I am not sure. It should be very similar to your purple chi dharma spirit. This thing is very strange. It is the opposite of the purple chi dharma spirit. Not only can the luck spider devour fate, it can also devour the fate of cultivators, demons, foreign races, and even a mystic world. It can also bring disaster and bad luck. I remember that a long time ago, when the Joshuan divine realm was just established, human cultivators were still very weak. They were attacked by a powerful foreign race from the depths of chaos, the tyrannical spirit clan. They were in danger of being destroyed. A luck spider appeared out of nowhere. The tyrannical spirit clan tried to suppress it. In the end, the luck spider took revenge and devoured the tyrannical spirit clan's fate. In the end, the tyrannical spirit clan was destroyed. The crisis of the human race was also resolved. Chapter 2697. Unexpectedly, Su Fong had never imagined that the seemingly unremarkable monster would be so shocking that it could affect the rise and fall of the human race. Shi Xian Daozu continued. Although the luck spider saved the entire human race, it also brought disaster to the human race. Later, the luck spider charged into the Joshuan realm of the gods. Wherever it went, disaster ran rampant. It also wantonly devoured the fortunes of mystic worlds, leading to the destruction of many mystic worlds and a catastrophe. In the end, it was the Destiny platform that acted and suppressed the luck spider, resolving the catastrophe for the human race. Su Fong was shocked again. He asked incredulously, "That little luck spider is so terrifying?" Shixian Daozu laughed involuntarily. The luck spider in the swamp is clearly still in its infancy. How can it compare to the luck spider of the past? It probably doesn't even have a 10,000th of the luck spider of the past. Otherwise, why would it stay in this tiny blood valley? It would have left long ago. Who knows what kind of catastrophe it would bring to the Joshuan realm of the gods. The luck spider you see now will probably live for several more epochs. It will also continue to devour fortunes. Perhaps it will have a chance to grow to the same level as the luck spider of the past. Su Fong heaved a sigh of relief. If the luck spider in front of him was as powerful as Shi Xian Daozu said, Su Fong would have turned and left without hesitation. How could he dare to provoke such a terrifying existence? Looking at the luck spider, Su Fong's eyes brightened. "Master, then can I suppress the luck spider?" After the Destiny platform suppressed the luck spider, it became the guardian beast of the Destiny platform. This is also why no one dares to provoke the Destiny platform in the Joshuan realm of the gods. You have the purple fate avatar and the life shrinking art. You should be able to suppress this immature luck spider. If you can possess a luck spider, even if it is in its infancy, the benefits it will bring you in the future will be astounding. Haha, with the purple fate avatar, you will be a star of calamity. Who will dare provoke you? Shixian Daozu's words filled Su Fong with anticipation. If the luck spider and the purple fate avatar work together, the purple fate avatar would bring unparalleled luck to Su Fong, while the luck spider would be used to devour the luck of enemies, bringing disaster and bad luck to powerful enemies. In the future, if anyone dared to provoke Su Fong, he would release the luck spider and devour the luck of the other party, or even a profound world or power. Great Calamity Star, hee hee, I want to become that great Calamity Star. Everyone who mentions my name will tremble. Su Fong chuckled. Activating his purple fate avatar, he flew towards the spider without hesitation. Human. Suddenly, a gloomy voice sounded in Su Fong's mind. It was the mermaids transmitting their thoughts. It was best if they could communicate. Su Fong immediately responded, "Spider luck, what do you want to say?" "Human, your aura makes me feel very excited, but also very fearful. That should be the Dharma body you cultivated. It will be of great benefit to my growth. Why don't we make a deal?" "A deal? A monster wanted to make a deal?" Su Fong could not help but laugh. "That's right. You must want the spiritual treasure that I am guarding, and I hope to have your Dharma body. Why don't we make a deal? You can have the spiritual treasure, but you can leave your Dharma body to me. That way, neither of us will lose out. I am about to suppress you, and you want my purple fate avatar?" Su Fong did not know whether to laugh or cry. Your Dharma body may be able to suppress me, but it is too weak. Do you think you can suppress me? Since you are not willing to make a deal, then I will have to kill you and devour everything. The luck spider roared, causing Su Fong's Doctrine Palace and Doctrine Heart to tremble. Swish, swish, swish. Following this, the luck spider opened its mouth and spat out a white fog, which contained shocking fate power. It was not the kind of power that could bring people fate. On the contrary, it was a power that could cause people to fall into disaster and misfortune. Buffed, Su Fong's purple fate avatar breathed out a purple chi that collided with the strange white mist. It was like a ladle of water had been poured into a pot of oil. The white and the purple chi of nothingness began to boil, creating a silent but shocking explosion. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The luck spider opened its mouth and breathed out threads. In an instant, they weaved into a giant net that covered the sky and covered Su Fong. Su Fong did not dare to be careless. He activated his purple fate avatar and turned the purple chi into rays of sword chi. He shot them at the giant net and tore it into pieces. A soundless but incomparably dangerous exchange of blows unfolded between Su Fong and the Spider King. For a short period of time, neither Su Fong nor the luck spider could do anything to the other. Su Fong knew that if this dragged on, it would be disadvantageous for him. After all, this was the luck spider's territory. Purple Chi Avatar, help me. A crack suddenly appeared between Su Fong's eyebrows. A Xianguang flashed out and turned into Su Fong. It was the Heavenly Path Avatar. Although Zhong Diyun could not see the battle between Su Fong and the luck spider, he knew how dangerous it was. He had already hidden hundreds of miles away. At this moment, when they saw Su Fong release another Dharma body, a wave of emotions immediately arose in their hearts. The more avatars a cultivator had, the more powerful they were, and the more talented they were in cultivation. Up until now, Zhong Diyun knew that Su Fong had at least 4 avatars, including the Blood Evil avatar. Ordinary cultivators could only cultivate 1 avatar other than their physical body. It was because of the Blood Evil avatar that countless cultivators flocked to the Blood Valley. Su Fong had cultivated 4 avatars. How shocking was this? Moreover, Su Fong was still in the true Tao realm, but he could release avatars outside his physical body. This showed that his avatars were far superior to cultivators of the same level. Genius. This person is a true, peerless genius. Zhong Diyun looked at Su Fong in shock. Boom! Su Fong's Heavenly Path avatar suddenly exploded with a purple chi. The majestic Heavenly Path fate swept toward the luck spider with a crushing force. The luck spider's silk was shattered layer by the Heavenly Path fate and the purple luck avatar's power of providence. The luck spider was also sent flying. Human, you're not simple. I'm not your match, but you can forget about suppressing me. Seeing that the situation was not good, the luck spider plunged into the bloody water below. Little did he know, just as the spider fell into the pool of blood, a thin line shot out from between Su Fong's eyebrows. In a flash, it crossed the distance between the two of them and entered the spider's body in the pool of blood. Life-pulling karma line. In order to suppress the luck spider, Su Fong did not hesitate to use the Heavenly Path life shrinking technique to plant karma in the luck spider's body. Come out. Su Fong pulled one end of the karma line, and the luck spider's fate was immediately controlled. It involuntarily flew out of the bloody water like a puppet controlled by an invisible string. No, I will never submit to a puny human. The luck spider was still resisting at the beginning. However, no matter how much it struggled, how could it resist fate? Su Fong controlled the karma line and pulled the luck spider into the Jiuquan Dao Palace. However, Su Fong continued to use the Heavenly Path life shrinking technique, and at the same time, he used the 6 extreme Dao Saints will to crush it. Under the pressure of fate and the 6 extreme Dao Saints' powerful will, the luck spider gradually stopped resisting. It finally calmed down and became extremely docile. With the luck spider and the purple fate Dharma body, I have the ability to control my own fate and the fate of others. When the luck spider is strong enough, I can even control the fate of the mystic world and even the major forces. From now on, in the Jiuquan divine realm, who can stop my heaven-defying rise? Su Fang's aura was weak, but his eyes were incomparably hale and hearty. His entire body exuded a supreme, domineering aura. This time, using the heavenly path life shrinking technique had caused Su Fang to pay a heavy price. Not only was his spirit weak, but he had also lost nearly half of his lifespan. His hair had turned gray, and he looked like an old man. Even the heavenly path Dharma body, purple fate Dharma body, and other Dharma bodies had their auras weakened, as if their origins had been damaged. Forcefully planting fate and controlling the fate of others would consume a large amount of life force. The luck spider was a monster formed by fate and belonged to the category of fate. When Su Fang used the heavenly path life shrinking technique to control its fate, the consumption was even more shocking. Su Fang kept the heavenly path Dharma body back into the Jiuquan Dao Palace. Then he stretched out his hand and grabbed at the rainbow blood lotus. The rainbow blood lotus separated from the blood water with its roots and flower and landed in Su Fang's hand. The rainbow blood lotus had 7 colors, and the lotus root was 3 feet long. There were a total of 3 segments, and it looked like it was condensed from fresh blood. This was probably the origin of the rainbow blood lotus name. The luck spider's pitiful voice sounded. Master, this spiritual item can help me transform and increase my strength. I beg Master to bestow me with its roots. I only need 1 segment, Su Fang replied. This Lord understands. At this moment, Zhang Diyun flew over to Su Fang. Looking at the rainbow blood lotus in Su Fang's hand, he hesitated for a moment before saying, Su Fang Da, it was all thanks to your strength that we obtained the rainbow blood lotus. I don't have the qualifications to ask you for it, but this concerns my father's life and death. I can only be thick-skinned and ask you. Su Fang said, I want 1 segment of the rainbow blood lotus root. If it has any impact on the treatment of your father's injuries, I can go with you and help your father recover. The main culprit of Zhang Diyun's father's injuries was the luck spider. He wasn't really injured, but his fate was sucked dry. He was eroded by the power of calamity and misfortune, as well as the power of decay and plague. Su Fang naturally had a way to deal with it. Zhang Diyun heaved a sigh of relief and said decisively, I only need 1 segment to treat my father's injuries. As for the remaining 2 segments, Su Fangda can take them all. If I need Su Fangda's help, I will have to trouble my lord. That would be great. Su Fang waved his hand and swept out a sharp sword aura. He cut off a segment of the lotus root and handed it to Zhang Diyun. The remaining 2 segments of the lotus root, along with the rainbow blood lotus, were sealed by Su Fang and kept in the Jiuquan Dao Palace. Chapter 2698. Although Su Fang had the purple fate avatar, the adversity swamp was not a place to stay for long. In addition, he had used the life shrinking art and lost a shocking amount of lifespan. He had to recover as soon as possible. In his current state, it was not suitable for him to become a divine general of bloody slaughter. In the Earth Oblivion Zone, who knew what dangers awaited him, especially Ling Xingchen, Su Fang had to be on guard. It would not be too late to enter the Earth Oblivion Zone after he recovered to his peak state. In the state where the purple fate avatar merged with his physical body, Su Fang quickly left the adversity swamp with Zhang Diyun and came to the Blood Valley outside the adversity swamp. Su Fang had already predicted that with Zhang Sun Yaoyang's personality, he would not have the patience to wait outside. Besides, Su Fang had escaped into the adversity swamp. In his opinion, he would die without a doubt. There was no need to wait. Su Fangda, thank you for your help this time. If there is a chance, I will definitely repay you. Once they walked out of the adversity swamp, Zhang Diyun cupped her fist to thank Su Fang and then left. In the Blood Valley, there was a door that allowed cultivators to leave. It could directly transport them to the time and space they were in before they entered the Blood Valley. Zhang Diyun was in a hurry to return and use the rainbow blood lotus to heal her father. Therefore, she did not become a divine general of bloody slaughter and left the Blood Valley directly from the human slaughter zone. If not for Zhong Diyun, I would not have been able to obtain the spider and rainbow blood lotus. I hope she can heal my father. Otherwise, I will have to help. Su Fong found a remote mountain valley. He opened a cave abode and created a formation. Then he began to consume ancient pills and the blood essence of experts to recover his life. This time, he had used up a lot of energy. Fortunately, Shi Xian Daozu had given Su Fong an ancient pill to replenish his lifespan. Together with the blood essence of experts that surpassed Dao Master, Su Fong's recovery speed was shocking. As he recovered, Su Fong peeled off a section of the rainbow blood lotus root for the spider to consume. There was only one section left. Su Fong could not use it for now. However, such a rare spiritual item was definitely a priceless treasure. Su Fong sealed the lotus root and the lotus together. Perhaps they would be of great use in the future. Su Fong released Huang Jiangpeng and the other experts he had just subdued, telling them to break through to the bloody kill divinity as soon as possible. The Su Fong had shackled their souls and fates, so they weren't afraid of rebellions and the like. Time passed. Unknowingly, nearly 1,000 years had passed. Su Fong's HP was finally restored to its peak. It's time to swallow the blood evil stone and become a divine general of blood slaughter. Then, I will head to the Earth Slaughter region. Ling Xingxian, I hope to see you there. Fierce killing intent gushed out of Su Fong's heart. He flipped his right hand and took out a blood evil stone. Then, he merged the blood fiend avatar with his physical body and began to absorb the blood fiend aura from the blood fiend stone. Pure and majestic murderous aura surged out of Su Fong's palm and poured into Su Fong's blood-killing Dharma body. The terrifying killing intent attacked Su Fong's consciousness and Dao heart. Su Fong couldn't help but want to kill wantonly to vent the strong killing intent in his heart. Although the blood fiend aura from the blood evil stone was incomparably pure and high grade, merging with the blood evil stone was also a very dangerous thing. If one's Dao heart wasn't firm enough, they might be affected by the killing intent. Some people might even lose their consciousness and become a living dead who only knew how to kill. Su Fong had a colorful Jade Dao heart. The killing intent attack from the blood evil stone couldn't affect him. As a large amount of blood fiend aura was absorbed by the Dharma body, it became even stronger. The blood-red robe on his body also began to shrink and condense into a blood-red armor. The 9 black stars also disappeared, turning into faint silver marks on the right chest of the blood-red armor. The Bloodkill Commander had a blood-red robe with a black killing star pattern, while the Bloodkill Divine General had a blood-red armor with a stronger defensive ability. The killing star pattern also turned silver. Su Fong hadn't condensed a silver star yet. Only after entering the Annihilation Zone and passing the first trial could he condense a silver killing star. At the same time, it also meant that he could become a genuine Bloodkill Divine General at that time. Just as the blood-red armor was condensed, a blood-red light gushed out from the void and enveloped Su Fong. Then, he was sucked into the void and disappeared without a trace. Su Fong saw a blood-red light in front of his eyes. His body also turned into a feather. He could only go with the flow, allowing the space to distort and the divine power to control him. When everything returned to normal and his body had weight, he found himself in a new space-time. Like the Annihilation Zone, this world was filled with a strong, murderous aura. However, it was 10 times stronger than before. There was blood everywhere, and blood clouds floated in the sky. Su Fong was now in a canyon. The blood-red mountain ranges on both sides were almost level with the sky. The canyon between them was much narrower than the Annihilation Zone, only tens of thousands of miles wide. What was different from the human massacre was that there were 9 small cities in the canyon. This was the Annihilation Zone of the Blood Valley. The training method in the Annihilation Zone was also different from the Annihilation Zone. The targets of the training were not only blood monsters, but other cultivators as well. The location of the training was also not outside the Blood Valley, but within the cities. There were a total of 9 cities. Cultivators from various mystic worlds of Dongxian gathered in the cities. All of them were experts. Inside each city, there was a blood kill platform. Only by accumulating enough points on the Bloodkill platform could one obtain the title of Bloodkill Divine General through training. Therefore, the difficulty of training in the Annihilation Zone was 10 times harder than the Annihilation Zone. It was also much more dangerous. Many Bloodkill commanders were often trapped in the first city after being promoted to Bloodkill Divine General. They were half-step Bloodkill generals who could not condense a killing star even after hundreds of thousands of years. Su Fong had learned this information from the information he had obtained from the Chamber of Commerce before entering the Blood Valley. However, the real situation could only be understood through personal experience. Not far from where Su Fong had appeared, there was a crimson gate. Through this gate, one could also leave the Blood Valley. However, after a glance, Su Fong flew towards the first city without hesitation. His goal was not only to become the Bloodkill Divine General, but also to become the Divine Lord of Bloodkill. Naturally, he would not leave so easily. Once he left the gate and returned to the real world, what awaited him would be the merciless suppression of the three Taishang mysterious sects. He had no choice but to become the Divine Lord of Bloodkill in order to be protected by the Jiuxuan's laws. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Su Fong had not flown far when 3 crimson silhouettes flashed out from the right, blocking Su Fong's path. These were 3 supreme cultivators, all of them clad in blood armor, but they were bloody slaughter divine generals who couldn't condense a killing star. In the Blood Valley, these Bloodkill divine generals were called half-step Bloodkill divine generals, also known as false divine generals. Unlike the cultivators Su Fong had seen in the Blood Valley before, these 3 cultivators had blood-red eyes that were filled with manic and murderous intent. Their auras were also chaotic. It was obvious that they had stayed in the Blood Valley for too long and their consciousness had been affected. A newcomer? The bald cultivator in the middle swept Su Fong with a blood-red glow in his eyes. He licked his lips like a bloodthirsty, ferocious beast, making people shudder. "What's the matter?" Su Fong said indifferently. Although the trial of the Earth Annihilation Zone was held in the city, it did not mean that it would be peaceful outside the city. Some cultivators who stayed in the Blood Valley all year round were affected by the blood chi and became bloodthirsty. It was normal for them to kill people for no reason. There were also some cultivators who, because they could not advance to a higher level, began to kill people and steal their treasures. This was the Blood Valley. There were no rules, only killing. A little ant of the upper Tao truth stage can also be promoted to a Bloodkill divine general. The bald cultivator was surprised when he saw Su Fong's cultivation. The eyes of the cultivator on the left burned with terrifying blood-red flames. He said excitedly, "We brothers have bumped into a fat sheep this time. This kid must have relied on the help of an expert to get to the Earth Annihilation Zone. This young master must be very rich." "Then what? Lead the way." Benevolent Bandage, the cultivator on the right, smiled ferociously. A blood-red glow flashed on his glabella. A thought formed by the murderous intent attacked Su Fong fiercely. "You're courting death." Su Fong smiled coldly. A staff shadow jumped out from his eyes, erupting with a violent and ferocious aura. The staff fell. The cultivator's thought attack instantly collapsed under the attack of the murderous intent contained in the staff. The cultivator did not have time to react and was hit by the staff. The blood armor on his body shattered, and his Dharma body also collapsed, turning into a pile of minced meat. Not only his Dharma body, but even his physical body was killed by Su Fong's attack. The remaining 2 cultivators were shocked. At this time, Su Fong used the true eyes of extermination. A needle-like thought shot into the bald cultivator's glabella, piercing his Tao palace and soul. The bald cultivator screamed in agony. Immediately after, Su Fong flashed forward and punched him in the head. The terrifying killing aura impacted his Tao palace and will, causing his head to shatter into pieces. The remaining cultivator did not expect that he had bumped into such a powerful expert when he thought he had caught a fat sheep. He was scared out of his wits and used his movement technique to escape. Boom! Su Fong's flame-stamping treasured boots roared. The huge impact made Su Fong rush out like lightning and appear behind the cultivator in an instant. Then he reached out and grabbed more than a dozen sword chi, which turned into a sword formation and swept toward the cultivator. The blood armor on the cultivator's body lasted for a moment before it was killed by the sword formation. The weak are prey to the strong. You want to kill me, Su Fong. In the end, you die in my hands. You can't blame me. Su Fong showed his murderous and ferocious side in the state of the blood demon Dharma body. Then he activated the blood demon Dharma body and devoured the blood chi of the three cultivators. As the blood chi was absorbed by Su Fong's blood demon Dharma body, Su Fong's blood armor became more solid. The silver murderous star on the blood armor also became clearer. This is just the beginning. There will be more killings later. Chapter 2699. On the way to the first city, less than 500 kilometers away, Su Fong encountered 3 ambushes along the way. It could be seen how chaotic the Blood Valley was. Fortunately, there were no true experts among the cultivators who robbed outside the city. Su Fong easily killed those cultivators who tried to kill him and steal his treasures. He arrived outside the city. He looked over. There was a blood-colored star floating above the city. It emitted a blood-red light that enveloped the entire city, forming a powerful barrier. Outside the city, there was a black stone tablet that was 1,000 feet tall. There was a line of bloody words on it. Number 1 star, Killer City. Su Fong could feel an extremely shocking killing intent and baleful aura outside the city. It was stronger and more advanced than outside the city. Su Fong reckoned that cultivating the Blood Fiend clone in the city would be much more effective than outside. However, if one's Dao heart was not firm enough, it would also be a huge test. He approached the barrier outside the city. The silver mark on the blood armor released a sharp killing intent that landed on the barrier. The blood chi in the barrier tumbled, revealing a passage into the city. Su Fong shuttled through and arrived inside the city. The scene inside was completely different from outside. The city was not big. There was only one street with 2 rows of dark stone houses on both sides of the street. People came and went on the street. If not for the strong killing intent, Su Fong would have thought that he had arrived at a city built by a certain cultivation faction. Su Fong walked along the street and strolled into the depths of the city. Soon, Su Fong discovered that this place was different. Other than some half-step divine generals like Su Fong, there were many Dao True Realm cultivators on the street. He could even see many mortals and some strange-looking foreign races. It was indeed strange that mortals would appear in the city of the Blood Valley. These mortals and foreign races did not enter the Blood Valley from the outside world. They were cultivators who reproduced in the Blood Valley. This was the origin of those mortals. As for the foreign races, they were still in a breeding state. They were brought into the Blood Valley by cultivators and were born in the Blood Valley. Over time, these mortals and foreign races were formed. The cultivators who entered the Blood Valley to train also happened to need the services of these mortals and foreign races. Thus, generation after generation, they multiplied. Because they were born in the Blood Valley, these mortals and foreign races could only stay in the city for their entire lives. They were usually slaves and became the lowest level of existence in the city. Not only were there mortals and foreign tribes, but the cultivators in the city were also completely different from the cultivators outside. Due to the continuous erosion of their primordial spirit and consciousness by the killing aura, coupled with the long-term experience of killing, most of the cultivators here were the same as the ones Su Fong encountered outside the city. All of them appeared manic and bloodthirsty. Less than 2 hours after Su Fong entered the city, he witnessed 3 battles between cultivators with his own eyes. In the end, one side was killed in all 3 battles. This city is no ordinary city. It's a city of slaughter. Everyone here is a lunatic. Su Fong felt a chill in his heart. He was on high alert all the way. Su Fong now understood that the Blood Valley was not only a training ground for the geniuses of the Eastern Xian Divine Domain, but also a refuge for cultivators. Many cultivators were hunted down by their enemies or were bandits. They were forced to escape into the Blood Valley, hoping to obtain the title of Divine General or Divine Master. From then on, they would change their identities and soar to the top. However, those who could obtain such titles were extremely rare. Most of them could only stay in the Blood Valley until they died. If I can't obtain the title of Divine Master of Bloody Massacre, I can only be trapped in the Blood Valley. Like most cultivators, I will eventually fall into madness and die. Cultivators can only stay in the Blood Valley for 1,000,000 years at most. In this 1,000,000 years, I must become a divine master of bloody massacre no matter what. Seeing those cultivators, Su Fang's thoughts became even more determined. QL11, in addition to the madness and killing, there were also good things in the city. Xian Bao, pills, and spiritual items were sold in the stone houses on both sides of the street. There was no lack of high-quality treasures. There were also cultivators setting up stalls on the side of the street, but the quality was much worse than the ones in the stone houses. Su Fang casually strolled through a few shops and discovered quite a few types of rare spirit items that were very difficult to find in the outside world. Unfortunately, the currency they were trading with was not medicinal pills or profound treasures, but blood evil stones. Su Fang asked around and found out that blood evil stones were the most valuable items in the city. Other treasures, such as pills and Xian Bao, were secondary. In the wilderness outside the city, there were mines that contained blood evil stones. One could also obtain blood evil stones by killing blood monsters. Moreover, the chances of obtaining blood evil stones from killing blood monsters in the earthly annihilation zone were much higher than in the human annihilation zone. Su Fang only had 2 blood evil stones on him now. Moreover, he did not lack resources. Naturally, he would not use these 2 blood evil stones. That Cloud Soul? It's actually Cloud Soul. Unintentionally, Su Fang's gaze swept across a stall on the side of the street. He found a bundle of Xian Guang floating on the stall. A colorful cloud-like thing was sealed inside, but it was constantly wriggling like a living creature. This thing was called Cloud Soul. It was a spiritual item that was nurtured by the sea of clouds that was naturally formed in the depths of the chaos. Generally, very few cultivators would recognize Cloud Soul. The reason why Su Fang recognized it at a glance was because Cloud Soul was one of the spiritual items that were needed to nurture the heavenly Tao core. There was a detailed description of Cloud Soul in the cultivation method that Su Fang bought from the Chamber of Commerce. It was exactly what he saw now. The spiritual items needed to nurture the heavenly Tao core were all rare items that were difficult to find in the mystic world. In order to obtain the Rainbow Blood Lotus, Su Fang had spent a lot of effort. He did not expect to find such a spiritual item the moment he entered the earthly annihilation zone. How could he not be surprised? "Sir, may I ask what this item is?" Su Fang couldn't reveal that he was interested in the Cloud Spirit Soul. He first looked at the other items on the ground before looking at the Cloud Spirit Soul casually. Who knew? Su Fang asked 3 times in a row, but the stall owner did not reply. Instead, he heard moans of lust. He looked over in shock. He saw that the stall owner was hugging a woman, his hands constantly stroking the woman's lower body. How could he care about Su Fang? The stall owner was a mid-stage Tao Lord cultivator. He had a head of messy hair, and his entire body emitted a foul smell. The woman was of a different race. She looked like a normal human with enchanting looks, but her body was covered with a layer of green scales. She was actually a woman of the demonic snake clan. Su Fang did not expect to meet such a disgusting stall owner. His brows furrowed. Just as he was about to continue asking, the stall owner began to have sex with the demonic snake clan woman without restraint on the side of the street. He was no different from a wild beast in heat. "Sir, may I ask what this item is?" Su Fang controlled his temper and asked again. Only then did the stall owner hear him and stop. The demonic snake clan woman pushed the stall owner away, got up, and ran away. "Kid, you don't even know what it is, but you're bothering me and ruining my business?" The stall owner glared fiercely at Su Fang. Discovering Su Fang's cultivation, the stall owner's eyes lit up. "I don't know what it is either. I'm selling it on behalf of someone else. Kid, if you want it, give me 100 blood evil stones, and it's yours." 100 blood evil stones? Su Fang frowned. He did not expect the stall owner to ask for such an exorbitant price. 100 blood evil stones is too expensive. Su Fong shook his head and left the stall. He only had 2 blood evil stones on him. How could he afford the Cloud Soul? Since he could not buy it, he could only think of another way. No matter what, he had to get the Cloud Soul. Kid, how dare you make fun of me? Give me 10 blood evil stones or a leg. The stall owner flew into a rage and let out a murderous roar. You just asked for a price, and you want 10 blood evil stones or a leg of mine. Su Fong stopped in his tracks and looked at the stall owner with a cold gaze. Kid, you new here, right? I'll teach you a lesson this time. In the #1 killer city, you have to pay to open your mouth. The stall owner sneered ferociously. Then he pointed to his chest and said proudly, Look carefully. I'm from the Blood Willow gang. If you don't want to die, hand over the blood evil stones or leave a leg of yours. Blood Willow gang? Su Fong found that there was a bloody willow leaf pattern on the stall owner's blood armor's chest. It was obviously the symbol of a certain force. It was his first time here, so he naturally did not know what kind of force the Blood Willow gang was. At this time, many cultivators gathered around to watch the show. From the discussions of these cultivators, Su Fong figured out the details of the Blood Willow gang. It turned out that in this city filled with slaughter, many cultivators had banded together to form various forces. The Blood Willow gang was one of them. Although it wasn't a top force, it was still one of the top forces in the #1 star killer city. The stall owner was a small character in the Blood Willow gang. He used the Blood Willow gang's name all day to swindle people in the city. Su Fong looked like he had just arrived, and his cultivation was only in the Dao True realm. If the stall owner did not extort him, who would he extort? What? Does this kid want to bully our Blood Willow gang? 5 cultivators walked out from the crowd. Like the stall owner, their blood armor had a blood-colored willow leaf pattern. The surrounding cultivators retreated one after another. Obviously, they were already familiar with this scene. This new kid is going to be in big trouble. He's only in the Dao True realm. How did he sneak into the Annihilation Zone? This person might have some background. Either he really has some skills, or he's a disciple from a big force in Dongxian. He only became a half-step divine general with the help of experts. This is the Blood Valley. Other than forces like Dongxian Pavilion and the 3 highest mysterious sects, even a divine dragon has to be obedient. The surrounding cultivators were all discussing, waiting to see a good show. Su Fong touched his nose and smiled indifferently. He said to the stall owner, I'm really new here. I don't have blood evil stone on me, and I don't want to lose a leg. What should I do? Then leave your head. A Blood Willow gang cultivator said coldly. Chapter 2700. A slender and handsome cultivator in his early 20s walked out from the crowd. Su Fong was shocked and stunned. He didn't expect that someone would stand up for him in the #1 killer city. Moreover, Su Fong didn't know this person. Chu Feng, the genius from the 3 highest profound sects, who has already won 9 consecutive battles on the blood slaughter arena. Chu Feng. The crowd cried out in surprise. The Blood Willow gang members' expressions changed instantly. The disciples of the 3 highest profound sects are really like ghosts that won't go away. I can see them everywhere I go. A fierce aura surged in Su Feng's heart. Chu Feng looked at Su Feng with disdain. You're Su Feng? Su Feng nodded calmly and said, Yes, I'm Su Feng. Chu Feng sized up Su Feng and said, I didn't expect senior brother Ling Xingchen to be right. You won't die so easily in the adversity swamp. You're really not simple. Not only did you kill the Dao Lord expert by young Master Changsu inside, but you also survived in the adversity swamp. No wonder senior brother Ling Xingchen couldn't do anything to you. After hearing Chu Feng's words, the 5 Blood Willow gang cultivators, as well as the stall owner, were immediately overwhelmed with shock. He killed the Dao Lord expert of the 3 highest profound sects and survived in the adversity swamp with only the cultivation of the true Dao realm. What kind of person was this? The Blood Willow gang members knew that they had kicked an iron plate this time. The new cultivator wasn't a fat sheep, but a peerless genius. If Chu Feng hadn't appeared in time, they would be in danger. Then, Chu Feng revealed a regretful expression. I really want to fight with you. I want to see what kind of ability you have to make senior brother Ling Xingchen treat you as an opponent. Unfortunately, I have to obey Senior Brother Ling Xingchen's order. Su Fong smiled indifferently. These disciples who came from great powers were all so high and mighty and arrogant. Chu Feng looked at Su Fong and said, "Congratulations. From now on, I will protect you and help you enter the third killer city. Once we reach the third killer city, Senior Brother Ling Xingchen will personally kill you." His casual tone was filled with an incomparable domineering aura, as if Su Fong's life and death were completely in his hands. Su Fong was shocked. "Ling Xingchen has already entered the third killer city? You are indeed worthy of being a disciple of the three highest profound sects. Moreover, you are even ranked on the heavenly profound ranking. You have entered the third-star killer city so quickly." Ignoring Su Fong, Chu Feng looked at the people of Blood Willow Gang and said, "Since I want to protect someone, Blood Willow Gang won't refuse to give me face, right? I wouldn't dare. How dare the Blood Willow Gang not give face to young Master Chu Feng?" The 5 Blood Willow Gang cultivators nodded and bowed repeatedly, and the stall owner almost knelt on the ground. Even if Chu Feng didn't open his mouth, they knew Su Feng's true strength. How could they dare to continue extorting Su Feng? Who knew? Su Feng looked at Chu Feng and suddenly smiled domineeringly. "You plan to protect me? You have to keep your word." Chu Feng nodded and said, "As a special disciple of the three highest profound sects, I naturally keep my word." Without waiting for him to finish his words, a strong and fierce murderous aura shot out from between Su Feng's eyebrows and swept the stall owner in an instant, attacking his Tao heart and willpower. QL11, the stall owner, was caught off guard, and his Tao heart and willpower were instantly shattered into pieces. Then, Su Feng's figure flashed and arrived at the stall. He grabbed the Cloud Soul in his hand and directly absorbed it into his body. "The Cloud Soul is finally in my hands." Su Feng was very happy that he had obtained another spiritual item to nurture the pregnant heavenly down nucleus. Chu Feng was shocked and stunned. He didn't expect Su Feng to be so ruthless in attack as soon as he said so. "Kid, you're courting death. You dare to kill someone from the Blood Willow Gang. You are dead meat." The 5 Blood Willow Gang cultivators were instantly enraged and roared furiously. When Su Feng killed someone, it also aroused their killing intent at the same time. At this moment, they didn't care about anything else and directly pounced on Su Feng. Su Feng sneered at Chu Feng and said, "Young Master Chu Feng, didn't you say you would protect me just now? Why did you go back on your word in the blink of an eye?" Chu Feng's face was ashen. He shouted at the 5 Blood Willow Gang cultivators, "Scram!" It set off a violent tremor in the air and sent the Blood Willow Gang cultivators flying. 2 of them were killed on the spot, and the remaining 3 were also seriously injured. They didn't dare to attack Su Feng anymore and quickly fled. The disciples of the 3 highest profound sects are indeed awe-inspiring. I admire you, I admire you. Next, I will have to rely on you in the number 1 killer city." Su Feng chuckled. Chu Feng's face became more and more unsightly. Su Feng shouted at the surrounding cultivators, "Did you all hear that? From now on, if anyone dares to touch me, young Master Chu Feng will take their life. If you see me in the future, you all better stay away." After saying that, Su Feng absorbed the stall owner's corpse and all the items on the stall into his body. Then he swaggered away. Chu Feng was so angry that his entire body trembled. A fierce killing intent spread out, causing the surrounding crowd to tremble in fear and quickly disperse. In Star Killer City, one couldn't fly and could only walk. Su Fengdao walked towards the blood slaughter arena in the depths of the city. Suddenly, Su Feng stopped and looked behind him. A woman following behind him was so frightened that she staggered and fell to the ground. This woman was the woman from the Devil Snake clan who had been ravaged by the stall owner. She didn't know why she was following Su Feng. Su Feng asked coldly, "Why are you following me?" The woman from the Devil Snake clan knelt on the ground and kowtowed repeatedly. "Sir, you killed that bad guy. You must be a good person. Please save me." Su Feng said indifferently, "Why should I save you? He wasn't a kind man, and he wouldn't try to be a good person. not to mention that the other party was from a different race. The woman trembled as she said, I grew up in the #1 killer city. It's your first time here, and you're unfamiliar with this place. I can be your guide and save you a lot of trouble. Su Fong asked indifferently, How do you want me to help you? The woman hurriedly said, Sir, the bad guy you just killed had an antidote in his storage ring. He poisoned me and my family, forcing me to serve him. Please give me the antidote, and my family will be saved. Su Fong sighed in his heart. The status of these alien races born in the Blood Valley was even lower than that of mortals. Cultivators could kill them and torture them however they wanted. This woman may be lowly, but no matter what, she is still alive. When did I become so indifferent to life? Actually, I was born in a low-level universe, which is what they call the heaven-forsaken slave race. How noble am I compared to her? Su Fong was secretly alarmed. Then he searched the stall owner's storage ring and found some antidotes in it. He threw all of them to the woman from the Devil Snake clan. The woman pointed at a black bottle and said in surprise, It's this antidote. Su Fong wiped the seal on the bottle and took out a pill. After sensing it, he found that it was just an ordinary antidote. After thinking for a while, Su Fong took out more than 10 antidotes and put them in the bottle. He gave it to the woman along with the bottle. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. The woman kept kowtowing to Su Fong until her head was bleeding. I can only help you this much. You're on your own now. Su Fong waved his hand and strode toward the depths of the Star Killer City. He would soon leave the first Star Killer City. Why would he need a guide? About 6 hours later, Su Fong arrived at the central area of the city. A beam of light shot out from the blood-colored star floating in the sky and landed on the ground. It covered an area of about 1,000 feet and formed a powerful barrier. Inside the barrier was the blood slaughter platform, which was used for cultivators to gain experience. Su Fong passed through the barrier and entered. He took a closer look. Inside the barrier, there was a space with an area of 10 miles. A huge blood-colored object was floating in the air, exuding a strong blood aura. It was the so-called blood slaughter platform. Su Fong was no stranger to the rules of the blood slaughter platform. If one wanted to pass the trial of the first Star Killer City, they had to win 10 matches on the blood slaughter platform. Their opponents could be cultivators who came here to gain experience or powerful blood monsters that descended from the Star Killer in the sky. Winning 10 matches seemed very easy, but it was not. It might be relatively easy to win the first few matches, but once one's strength was grasped by other cultivators, who would take the initiative to challenge them if they didn't have enough confidence. If no one took the initiative to challenge them, the Star Killer in the sky would directly descend powerful blood monsters. The strength of these blood monsters was more terrifying than human cultivators, and the further they went, the more terrifying they would be. Therefore, there are very few cultivators who could win 10 matches and pass the trial. However, with every victory, the benefits were also amazing. With every victory, there would be pure and high-level blood evil chi descending from the blood-red killing star in the sky, cleansing the marrow of the blood evil Dharma body and increasing its strength. After winning 10 matches, the blood aura would condense into a Star Killer in the blood armor, smoothly passing the trial and being promoted to a 1-star Divine Slaughter General. After becoming a 1-star Divine Slaughter General, one would be valued by the major forces and would also be protected by some of the Jioshuan's heavenly laws. Those half-step Divine Slaughter Generals did not have these benefits. Below the blood slaughter platform, thousands of cultivators gathered, but no one went up to challenge. Swish! Swish! As soon as Su Fong entered the space of the blood slaughter platform, he immediately attracted the attention of many cultivators. After discovering that Su Fong was only an upper Tao Truth cultivator, many cultivators' eyes flashed with a burning light, like a pack of hungry wolves seeing a lamb. A middle-aged cultivator immediately walked towards Su Fong and cupped his fists towards Su Fong with a smile. Friend, are you a genius who just came at #1 Star Killer City? Su Fong answered truthfully, yes. The middle-aged cultivator's smile became even brighter, as if he was an old friend who had known Su Fong for many years. He then said, You must be a genius disciple with an extraordinary background who came to the Blood Valley to gain experience. I'm looking for someone to exchange pointers with. How about we exchange pointers on the Blood Slaughter platform? Su Fong touched his nose and said awkwardly, "You're an Upper Dao Lord a whole step higher than me. How can I be qualified to exchange pointers with you?" The middle-aged cultivator laughed and said, "It doesn't matter. When we get on the Blood Slaughter platform, I'll suppress my cultivation to the same level as yours." Su Fong hesitated for a moment and nodded. "You must show mercy when the time comes." Of course, of course. Chapter 2701. Swish, swish, swish. More than a dozen cultivators blocked the path of Su Fong and the middle-aged cultivator. "Old wolf, don't you think it's a bit unkind to deceive a newcomer? Kid, this guy is a vicious wolf that eats people without spitting out their bones. If you spar with him, be careful that he'll swallow you whole. Why don't the two of us spar?" These cultivators looked at Su Fong with shining eyes, like a pack of hungry wolves that had seen their prey. The middle-aged cultivator hurriedly explained to Su Fong, "Little friend, don't listen to them. In the number 1-star killer city, my reputation is obvious to all. I invited you to the Blood Slaughter arena purely to spar with you. There's absolutely no other malice." "I understand." Su Fong nodded. Then he shouted to those cultivators, "I have my own ideas about who I'll spar with. I won't allow you to tell me what to do. Humph, don't think I can't see your intentions. You just want to lure me to the Blood Slaughter arena and kill me to get a victory. I'm not a fool. How can I be so easily fooled?" The middle-aged cultivator revealed a smug look. In the space of the Blood Slaughter arena, other cultivators couldn't be forced to go up. Su Fong was willing to spar with the middle-aged cultivator, so the other cultivators couldn't force him to do anything. They could only give up resentfully. Where did this idiot come from? He actually took the initiative to go to the Blood Slaughter arena to die. This time, Wolf 2 got lucky for nothing. He can kill that kid on the Blood Slaughter arena and get 5 victories. I don't think so. That kid's cultivation is only at the true Dao realm, but he dared to come to the Blood Valley and enter the number 1-star killer city. He's definitely not as simple as he looks on the surface. Everyone discussed Su Fong animatedly, treating Su Fong as a weakling who came to the arena to die. There were also some knowledgeable experts who could see that Su Fong was not simple. "Little brother, you go first." Below the Blood Slaughter arena, the middle-aged cultivator was afraid that Su Fong would go back on his words and let Su Fong go first. Su Fong chuckled and jumped onto the Blood Slaughter stage. As soon as the middle-aged cultivator entered the Blood Slaughter arena, the smile on his face disappeared without a trace. His eyes became fierce and ferocious. Su Fong revealed a frightened expression and said in a trembling voice, "Didn't we agree that it was a friendly match? You can't be serious, right?" The middle-aged cultivator grinned. "Brat, don't you know that once you step onto the Blood Slaughter arena, you won't be able to leave unless your Blood Slaughter avatar is killed? Do you really expect this king to exchange pointers with you? I, Lang Tu, am known as the Fiend Wolf in the number 1 killer city. I don't even spit out the bones when I eat people. How could I let go of a fat piece of meat that is already in my mouth? Not only your blood fiend Dharma body, but I also want your entire physical body." Su Fong looked furious. You went back on your word. Brat, have you forgotten that this is the Blood Valley? It is not your faction. Just accept your fate." As the middle-aged cultivator laughed ferociously, he suddenly let out a howl like that of a fierce wolf. An astonishing will of slaughter transformed into a bloody wolf phantom that pounced on Su Fong and drilled into Su Fong's body. This brat is finished. Lang Tu's howl attack, combined with the Blood Slaughter avatar, can not only impact the will of the Dao heart, but also devour the soul of a cultivator. It is definitely not an ordinary thought attack. It can even threaten a Dao master. How can that brat not be finished? It's a pity that there are too few fools like him. It's rare for one to appear in 100 years. Lang Tu took advantage of it and won easily. Many cultivators below the Blood Slaughter arena believed that Su Fong would undoubtedly die. Even those cultivators who suspected that Su Fong was somewhat extraordinary had the same thought. The terrifying howl of the wolf faded away. Su Fong stood there unscathed with a stunned and puzzled look. It was as if he didn't know how amazing Lang Tu's attack was just now, and it was just a breeze that passed by. Lang Tu was stunned. He let out 3 more howls in succession, and a monstrous aura of slaughter swept towards Su Fong. The cultivators below the blood slaughter arena were also affected by the will of slaughter. Some of the weaker cultivators couldn't help but shiver. Little did they know, Su Fong was still standing tall, and the smile on his face became even brighter. He asked, "Sir, why are you howling? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? I have some elixirs here. Do you want me to give you some?" Lang Tu was shocked and stunned, and his eyes were filled with shock and surprise. Many cultivators below the blood slaughter arena were also dumbfounded, and then they began to discuss spiritedly. This brat's will of the Tao heart is so powerful that he's not afraid of Lang Tu's thought attack. Impossible. After all, this person is only a Tao True Realm cultivator. How can he ignore Lang Tu's attack? This brat is only a Tao True Realm cultivator, but he can enter the #1 killer city. He must have the protection of an expert. Maybe there's an expert hidden in his body that helped him resolve Lang Tu's attack. Impossible. On the blood slaughter arena, other people can't help. Even if there's a peerless expert hidden in that brat's body, he can't help because he's bound by the will of the Blood Valley. The only possibility is that this brat has a Xian Bao that can defend his will of the Tao heart and origin soul. Brat, even a Xian Bao can't save you. Lang Tu flew into a rage out of humiliation. He unleashed a shocking seal that transformed into a black wolf claw. With a terrifying aura that could tear apart everything, it swept towards Su Fong. Bang! Flames ignited under Su Fong's feet, and there was a loud explosion. The flame-stepping boots were activated, and his body flashed out. He was even faster than Lang Tu's attack, and he appeared in front of Lang Tu in an instant. Boom! Su Fong used the powerful impact to crash into Lang Tu's body. Crack! 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 Lang Tu's blood armor was smashed, and his blood-killing avatar was also shattered. Lang Tu was shocked and surprised. He didn't expect Su Fong to have such amazing speed with the help of Su Fong, and he also had such a powerful physical body and blood-killing avatar. "Don't worry, my lord. I just want to spar with you." Su Fong activated the flame-stepping boots again, and his body flashed out. He caught up with Lang Tu in a flash and crashed into Lang Tu again. Boom! Crack! Crack! Lang Tu's blood-killing avatar was shattered, and his physical body that had fused with the blood-killing avatar had many broken bones. His entire chest caved in. "Stop! Let's talk!" Lang Tu shouted loudly as he spat out blood with broken organs in his mouth. "The spar has just begun. My lord, you haven't made a move yet. How can you stop just like that?" Su Fong still had a smile on his face. His body flashed, and he crashed into Lang Tu again and again. "I'll fight it out with you." Only then did Lang Tu realize that he had found a soft persimmon. Who knew that he had kicked an iron plate? He had no choice but to fight with all his might. Seeing that his physical body was shattering, Lang Tu decided to go all out. He burned his Dharma power, primordial spirit, and physical body. He wanted to give Su Fong a fatal blow at all costs. Swoosh! Swoosh! Su Fong reached out and grabbed a dozen flying swords. They were all middle-grade flying swords. They formed a sword array and swept up a monstrous sword chi. Sweeping towards Lang Tuesday, Lang Tu lasted for more than 10 breaths of time before he was killed by the sword array. His physical body and avatar couldn't escape. Su Fong reached out and grabbed the flying swords and Lang Tu's body, and then absorbed them into his body. Then he activated the blood evil Dharma body and sucked all the blood evil chi left behind after the blood evil Dharma body was destroyed into the Dharma body and devoured it. This was the difference between Su Fong's blood-killing avatar. It could directly devour the blood-killing avatar of other cultivators. Lang Tu was truly worthy of being an expert of Star Slaughter City. The blood fiend essence within the blood fiend Dharma body was extremely abundant. After being devoured by Su Fong, The blood armor on his body rapidly solidified, and the silver marks on his chest became even clearer. A killing star was about to condense. Whoosh! A blood-colored pillar of light descended from the blood-colored star in the sky and enveloped Su Fong. Sizzle! And chi that was 10 times purer and more advanced than the blood-killing aura in Lang Tu's blood-killing avatar seeped into Su Fong's avatar. The energy contained in the chi surged in his body. It made Su Fong feel that his blood-killing avatar was about to swell and explode. Su Fong's Tao heart and primordial spirit were also strongly impacted by the killing intent. The most primitive and craziest desire that had been suppressed at the bottom of his heart was triggered by the aura. He couldn't help but let out a wild howl filled with killing intent. At this moment, Su Fong had an incomparable desire to go on a killing spree and use the blood of his enemies to quell the primitive and crazy desire in his heart. Fortunately, Su Fong had a Tao heart of rainbow jade and a nascent spirit-killing avatar. His Tao heart and consciousness were very strong. The Tao heart of rainbow jade emitted waves of cool aura, allowing his consciousness to break free from the control of that desire and quickly return to normal. The whole process lasted for 30 minutes. The blood-colored pillar of light around him disappeared. Su Fong found that the blood armor and the killing star pattern on his body had become more solid. The strength of his blood-killing avatar had also increased by about 1 level. Such an improvement speed was truly astonishing. No wonder so many cultivators did not hesitate to take the risk to enter the Blood Valley to train. That kid actually killed Lang Tu. I can't believe that this Tao True Realm ant is actually an expert. It's mainly because Lang Tu was too careless. He thought that he had picked up a soft persimmon. In addition, that kid's Xian Bao and Xian Bao ability are also extraordinary. That's why he killed Lang Tu so easily. That kid is really sinister. He actually let Lang Tu, a cunning old fox, lose his life in a daze. Too sinister, too despicable. Many cultivators below the blood-killing platform recovered from their shock and surprise. The way they looked at Su Fong suddenly changed. They no longer had the contempt from before. The dozen or so cultivators who had thought that Lang Tu had taken advantage of them were now all frightened. If it were them, they would definitely be killed by Su Fong in a daze like Lang Tuesday Kid. I challenge you. Chapter 2702. Su Fong glanced at the burly man. This person's cultivation was at the peak of the upper Tao Lord realm. From the blood armor on his body and the Star of Slaughter pattern on it, it could be seen that the strength of his blood demon avatar was quite close to that of a 1-star divine general of blood slaughter. It could be seen that he had won many times on the blood slaughter arena. The battles on the blood slaughter arena were very cruel, and there was no room for failure. Any failure would result in the death of the blood demon avatar. If it was more serious, it would be the death of the physical body and other avatars. Such situations were not uncommon on the blood slaughter arena. Therefore, challengers were generally very cautious and would never challenge others without full confidence. The reason why Lang Tu died was that he thought he had defeated Su Fong. Who would have thought that he was so unlucky to encounter Su Fong, who had surpassed his realm? Su Fong hadn't even used half of his strength. The burly man jumped out to challenge Su Fong at this time. Obviously, he was full of confidence, in this person's opinion. So what if Su Fong had an extraordinary Xian Bao? In the face of great strength and a huge gap in cultivation, no matter how strong the Xian Bao was, it was meaningless. It wasn't just this person. Almost everyone thought so. Fu Qianxiang, this madman, has already won 7 battles on the blood slaughter arena. Now he stands out to challenge a newcomer. He's too shameless. As long as that newcomer isn't a fool, he definitely won't agree. It's hard to say. That kid killed Lang Tuesday. Maybe he'll accept Fu Tianxiang's challenge in a fit of anger. Su Fong heard everyone's discussion clearly with his perfect hearing. He immediately made a decision in his heart. I won't accept your challenge. Su Fong responded decisively. Of course, he wasn't afraid of Fu Tianxiang, but because Fu Tianxiang seemed to be a powerful expert in the first Star Killer City. If he killed him as soon as he came up, who would dare to challenge him? He had to take it slow and take it one step at a time. Fu Tianxiang raised his thick eyebrows and shouted coldly, "You don't dare?" Su Fang smiled and said, "That's right. I really don't dare. You are close to the realm of Taoist master, and your true strength has even surpassed ordinary Taoist masters. I'm only at the realm of Taoist master. How would I dare to challenge you?" "Coward!" Fu Tianxiang snorted coldly and had no choice but to sit down. In the blood slaughter arena, as long as one side did not agree to the challenge, even if they won, they would not be recognized by the Blood Valley will. Su Fang was unwilling to accept the challenge, and Fu Tianxiang could do nothing about it. Suddenly, a fierce and murderous voice came from outside the barrier. "Kid, you must accept Fu Tianxiang's challenge." As soon as he finished speaking, swish, swish, more than a dozen figures shuttled through the array formation and arrived at the space of the blood slaughter stage. The disciple of the three supreme mysterious sects, Chu Feng, was among them. The other dozen cultivators were the same as the stall owner that Su Fang had killed before. There was a blood-colored willow leaf pattern on their blood armor, indicating their identity. Blood Willow Gang. These cultivators of the Blood Willow Gang were obviously much more powerful. The leader was a young man with blood-colored hair, and his cultivation had reached the peak of the Tao Lord realm. "The people of the Blood Willow Gang came to find me so quickly." Su Fang smiled coldly and looked at those people indifferently. The young man shouted domineeringly, "Kid, you killed a member of my Blood Willow Gang and even stole his treasure on the street. How can my Blood Willow Gang spare you?" Su Fang asked, "Are you the leader of the Blood Willow Gang?" The blood-haired young man said coldly, "You don't even know the background of my Blood Willow Gang, yet you dare to offend us. You're really bold. Do I need the leader to kill you personally? I'm the Hall Master of the Blood Willow Gang, Lu Piaohong." Su Fang looked at Chu Feng. "Chu Feng, you promised that you would protect me in the first killer city. Why are you colluding with the Blood Willow Gang now? Do people from the three supreme mysterious sects all go back on their words like this?" Chu Feng sneered and said, "Do you think I'm an idiot who could be manipulated by you? I've already contacted Ling Xingchen. He said that in the first killer city, I can directly kill you as long as you leave your corpse to him. I've already negotiated with Hall Master Lu. After killing you, your corpse will belong to me." The many cultivators below the blood slaughter platform discussed animatedly. That kid not only offended the Blood Willow Gang, but he also offended Chu Feng and Ling Xingchen from the three supreme mysterious sects. Isn't this kid too arrogant? He offended the geniuses of the three supreme mysterious sects, yet he's still alive. This kid is definitely an expert. I was almost fooled by him. After figuring out what had happened, they realized that Su Fang was much more terrifying than they had imagined. Lu Piaohong shouted at Fu Tianxiang, who had challenged Su Fang. "Fu Tianxiang, didn't you want to challenge that kid? I'll give you a chance, but after you kill that kid, you have to give his corpse to Chu Feng." Fu Tianxiang said, "If that kid doesn't accept the challenge, what can I do to him? That's not up to him." Lu Piaohong sneered ferociously. She suddenly waved her hand, and 4 figures rolled out from her palm and fell to the ground. Seeing these 4 people, Su Fang's eyebrows immediately curled up. The 4 people were all from the demonic snake clan. They were a middle-aged couple, a 7 or 8-year-old boy, and a woman. She was the demonic snake clan woman that Su Fang had given her the pill before. In the space where the blood slaughter platform was located, cultivators who weren't half-step demonic slaughter generals would be shackled by the killing aura inside the space. If it was an ordinary cultivator, they would be fine for a while. However, when these 4 demonic snake clan people were released by Lu Piaohong, they immediately let out miserable screams under the pressure of the shackles. Their skin began to crack, and blood kept gushing out. Their life auras were also constantly fading. Su Fang's eyes exuded coldness. "Lu Piaohong, they're just some lowly demonic snake clan mortals. Do you plan to use them to threaten me?" Lu Piaohong sneered. "If you don't accept Fu Tianxiang's challenge, then you can only watch them die in front of your eyes. They are indeed lowly and their lives are like dust, but you gave these lowly demonic snake clan pills. You don't care about their lives, do you? Let them go, and I accept Fu Tianxiang's challenge," Su Fong said decisively. If it weren't for him giving the pill to the demonic snake clan woman's family, they might not have attracted the attention of the Blood Willow gang, and they wouldn't have been exterminated. Although their lives were lowly, they had no special relationship with Su Fong. If he just sat by and did nothing, it would go against Su Fong's Dao heart. "I didn't expect you to be such a good person. Don't tell me you've taken a fancy to these demonic snake clan trash." Lu Piaohong laughed out loud. With a wave of her hand, she rolled the demonic snake clan family out of the boundary of the space where the bloody slaughter arena was located. Su Fong looked at Lu Piaohong and said in a clanging voice, "Although their lives are lowly, meeting me is their fortune and opportunity, and they have karma with me. If you dare to kill their family, I will destroy your Blood Willow gang." A fierce, murderous aura rose into the sky and swept in all directions. Many cultivators under the bloody slaughter arena felt a chill in their hearts. Chu Feng, Lu Piaohong, and the experts of the Blood Willow gang also had a slight change in expression. Immediately, Lu Piaohong sneered disdainfully. "You actually want to destroy my Blood Willow gang? Fu Tianxiang, kill him." Fu Tianxiang jumped up from under the arena and landed on the bloody slaughter arena. He shouted at Su Fong domineeringly, "Boy, my 8th victory depends on you." Su Fong said indifferently, "On the contrary, my 2nd victory in the #1 Star Killer City will be obtained from you. Little Dao True Realm cultivator, let me see how big of a splash you can make." Fu Tianxiang sneered with disdain. Chu Feng shouted loudly from below the arena, "Fu Tianxiang, remember to leave his corpse intact. Ling Xingqian and I owe you a favor this time." "Don't worry, young master Chu Feng. It's a piece of cake." Fu Tianxiang agreed readily, and then a strand of thought flashed out from between his brows. In an instant, Su Fong saw a 30 m long battle axe carry a terrifying, imposing aura that could split the heavens and the earth apart as it slashed down towards him. This strand of thought contained a domineering and all-conquering will, and it blasted down towards Su Fong's spiritual world before the battle axe could even descend. This strand of thought was sufficient to rival an expert at the lower Daolord realm. No wonder Fu Tianxiang was able to obtain 7 victories on the bloody slaughter arena. "Fu Tianxiang, I won't leave your corpse intact." Su Fong revealed a domineering smile. When Fu Tianxiang used this strand of thought, Su Fong swiftly switched between the Xianhuang avatar and the Shueisha avatar, and the phantom of a pagoda enveloped his body. Xian Tiansheng, Ancestral Graygon, and other formidable experts poured all their strength into the Xianhuang avatar. Although they couldn't be released in the Blood Valley, they could fuse their strength with the Xianhuang avatar. This was the extraordinary ability that the Xianhuang avatar had brought to Su Fong. At this moment, Su Fong had swiftly surpassed the Dao True Realm, and he'd even surpassed the Daolord realm and ordinary Daolords. Thump, thump, thump. The 6 layers of the phantom of the pagoda suddenly opened up, and 6 divine auras erupted like volcanoes as they swept towards the strand of thought that was slashing down. The will and Taoist aura within the strand of thought collided with the 6 divine auras, causing the layers to collapse. The phantom of the battle axe also shattered under the impact of the 6 divine auras. Fu Tianxiang had thought that even if this strand of thought couldn't kill Su Fong, it would at least be able to heavily injure him. He'd never imagined that such a terrifying counterattack would be waiting for him. Caught off guard, Fu Tianxiang's blood armor shattered, and the Shueisha avatar cracked layer by layer as he was forced to retreat repeatedly. Su Fong's aura surged as the 6 divine auras continued to crush Fu Tianxiang. After all, Fu Tianxiang hadn't attained the height of a Daolord yet, whereas Su Fong possessed a formidable strength that could crush ordinary Daolords. So, Fu Tianxiang hadn't been able to escape the fate of being crushed by Su Fong in the end. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Su Fongdao wantonly absorbed Fu Tianxiang's baleful blood energy, and his gaze that was filled with fierce, killing intent swept through the crowd. Chapter 2703. Under Su Fang's murderous gaze, many cultivators avoided his gaze. No one dared to look him in the eye. In the first killer city, Fu Tianxiang was considered a powerful expert. Although he was not a top expert, he was at least ranked in the top 50. But now he was crushed by Su Fang. Such strength was enough to shock all the cultivators and make them tremble with fear. Su Fang looked at Lu Piaohong, and his eyes became even colder. "Let's go." Lu Piaohong couldn't help but shudder. She immediately led the people of the Blood Willow gang away. Whoosh, a blood-colored beam of light fell from the blood-colored star in the sky, enveloping Su Fang and cleansing his blood-evil Dharma body. After receiving Fu Tianxiang's blood-evil aura, the blood-evil Dharma body was cleansed again. The strength of Su Fang's blood-evil Dharma body increased rapidly. The blood armor had become solid, and the killer star pattern on the right chest had also condensed. What kind of Xian Bao did he use? How could he crush Fu Tianxiang? I didn't see it clearly, but it must be a powerful Xian Bao. It's extraordinary. Everyone under the stage reacted at this time. They secretly communicated with each other through their thoughts. They looked at Su Fang from time to time. Not only did they not have the previous contempt in their eyes, but they also had more fear and awe. In the Blood Valley, only strength could win the respect of others. Everything else, including identity, was not as direct as one's strength. That's not Xian Bao. It's a Dharma body cultivated from Xian Bao. Chu Feng was indeed from the three highest mysterious sects. He could see the details of the pagoda phantom that appeared on Su Feng's body. How many Dharma bodies does this person have? Chu Feng was also very shocked, even 10 times more than the others. The more Dharma bodies one had, the more amazing their cultivation talent was. Su Feng's talent shocked Chu Feng and made him jealous at the same time. It's obviously impossible to kill Su Feng with the help of others. I can only do it myself. He didn't know what secret this person had that made Ling Xingchen so determined to get his corpse. It seems like Elder Zhu Xin is here for him too. Let's kill him and take his treasure. Chu Feng gazed at Su Feng, who was shrouded in the blood-red light beam. His eyes gradually became scorching hot. After an incense stick worth of time, the blood-red light pillar around Su Feng dissipated. He immediately jumped off the blood slaughter stage and went straight to the barrier. After passing through the array formation, Su Feng saw the demonic snake clan woman and her family lying in a pool of blood. The snake lady's parents and younger brother had all been beheaded, and they were already dead. As for the demonic snake clan woman, she was cut in half at the waist, but she was still breathing. Anger and hatred brewed in Su Feng's heart. Once it erupted, it would surely be able to burn the heavens. Su Feng used his profound yang power to envelop the snake demon woman, and the life-sustaining yang energy continuously poured into the woman's body. The blood from the woman's wound was stopped, and the blood energy kept surging, constantly growing new flesh and blood. Her aura also recovered a bit. Then, Su Feng released his consciousness and spoke in the snake demon woman's mind. Was it done by the Blood Willow gang? It was them. They asked me to tell you that the Blood Willow gang is waiting for you to massacre them. My lord, please don't be fooled. My life is cheap, and it's not worth risking your life for me and my family's cheap lives. No one can afford to provoke the Blood Willow gang in the first killer city. It's my fault. I've said that if the Blood Willow gang dares to hurt you, I will massacre the Blood Willow gang and let the whole Blood Willow gang be buried with your family. I, Su Feng, always keep my words. Su Feng said calmly. He put the demonic snake clan woman and the corpse on the ground into his heavenly law Dharma body. After letting Xuanxin take care of the woman, Su Feng walked straight to the Blood Willow gang. The Blood Willow gang could be considered a powerful force in the first killer city. They occupied an area of several hundred acres in the city. Su Feng came to the Blood Willow gang step by step. They had already received the news that Su Feng was coming. There was no one in the outer stone houses where the Blood Willow gang cultivators used to live. Su Feng passed through the alleys between the stone houses and came to the gate of a manor. Using his great perfection ability, he sensed that there were more than 100 cultivators in the manor, and hundreds more were coming from the rear. Su Fong showed a domineering and cold smile and walked straight into the manor. Boy, you really came. Lu Piaohong had been waiting in the manor with hundreds of cultivators. When he saw Su Fong, he smiled proudly. Since I said that I would massacre the Blood Willow gang, I will definitely do it, Su Fong said lightly. It seems that I guessed right. Your relationship with that cheap B*TCH is really unusual. A dignified cultivator is actually with 8B*TCH from the demonic snake clan. I'm dying of laughter, huh? Lu Piaohong ridiculed without restraint. The Blood Willow gang cultivators behind him also burst into unscrupulous and crazy laughter. A big man like an iron tower said disdainfully, Lu Piaohong, are you mistaken? How can this boy kill Fu Tianxiang? Lu Piaohong said, how can I be wrong when I saw it with my own eyes? Don't be careless when you attack later. Su Fong's divine light rolled around the Blood Willow gang cultivators and asked, why doesn't your gang leader come out? The big man like an iron tower sneered disdainfully. Do you think you are qualified to make the gang leader come out? After I kill all of you, he will naturally come out. Su Fong's cold voice was still echoing. His figure flashed, and he rushed toward Lu Piaohong. Boom, boom, boom. All kinds of thoughts, Xian Bao, and magical attacks rushed towards Su Fong like a tide and swallowed his figure in an instant. You can't even withstand a single blow. How can you kill Fu Tianxiang? The big man like an iron tower laughed disdainfully. No, be careful. Lu Piaohong was startled at first, but then her divine light changed instantly, and she warned the big man loudly. Chi! Su Fong's figure appeared behind the big man. Red light burst out from his eyes as he used the true eyes of destruction. It condensed into a needle of thought and directly shot into the big man's head. The big man staggered. At this time, Su Fong's right palm was like a sword and directly stabbed into the big man's back, penetrating his blood armor and grabbing his heart with his right hand. Hiss! Hiss! The big man's life, blood, and blood evil chi flowed out of Su Fong's palm crazily and was swallowed by Su Fong's blood evil dharma body. It turned out that Su Fong had used the passage of time divine sense to cooperate with the ability of the flaming dream illusionary cloud to create illusions. He had left an illusion to kill the people of the Blood Willow gang, while his real body had arrived behind the big man a few breaths before and dealt a fatal blow. In a flash, the big man's iron tower body quickly shriveled and fell to the ground. How dare you kill my brother? Lu Piaohong fell into madness. Like a mad beast, she fiercely pounced on Su Fong. Boom, boom, boom. Su Fong activated his flame-stamping boots and shuttled nimbly and quickly among the Blood Willow gang members. Screams rose and fell one after another. In less than half an hour, more than 30 Blood Willow gang cultivators have been killed by Su Fong. Retreat, form a formation and trap him. Lu Piaohong was shocked and angry. She ordered her men to retreat and surrounded Su Fong with the gang members who came from the outside. The next one to die is you. Su Fong looked at Lu Piaohong, smiled coldly, and used the true eyes of destruction again. Chi, 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 chi. Lu Piaohong kept releasing her thoughts, which turned into blood-red willow leaves fluttering in the wind. They blocked Su Fong's thoughts and finally dissipated their power. Meanwhile, an enormous rod image leaped out from Su Fong's eyes, and it gave rise to a violent and ferocious wave of slaughter that smashed down towards Lu Piaohong. The blood-red willows formed from Lu Piaohong's thoughts ceaselessly coiled around the rod image, yet they were unable to obstruct its all-powerful attack and were blasted flying. However, they didn't lose their lives. The nearby Blood Willow gang members were affected by this, and they were blasted flying like leaves being blown away by a violent gale. It was impossible for them to form a formation any longer. All of you stand down. A lofty voice sounded out from the house in the depths of the courtyard, and then an old man appeared. The old man wore a black robe that was covered in blood-red willow markings, and his aura was ethereal. Surprisingly, he was an expert at the intermediate stage of the Downlord realm. Unlike the other cultivators that had entered Blood Gorge to temper themselves, This old man possessed the aura of Bloodgorge quintessence, and he was actually an expert that was born in Bloodgorge. Su Fong wasn't surprised. Never had he imagined that a human born in Bloodgorge would actually be able to cultivate to such a height. The master of Blood Willow Gang was obviously a formidable figure. Unfortunately, he was born in Star Slaughter City, and it was impossible for him to leave Bloodgorge for his entire lifetime. In other words, he was only able to proclaim himself as an overlord in Star Slaughter City. You're merely a cultivator at the true Tao realm, yet you possess such extraordinary strength. You're definitely a peerless genius of the Eastern profound divine domain. I never imagined that my Blood Willow Gang would actually offend such a figure. The old man's eyes flashed with a bloody glow as he gazed at Su Fong. After that, the old man continued. My Blood Willow Gang isn't willing to become enemies with a figure like you. So, I've decided to take a step back and write off all enmity between us. You can leave. Su Fong was stunned. Write off all enmity? Lu Piaohong hurriedly said, Master, this kid has killed so many of our people. How can we let him go? Meanwhile, Su Fong spoke in a domineering manner. I've said it before. If you dare harm that woman and her family, then I'll annihilate the Blood Willow Gang. Now, there's still so many members of the Blood Willow Gang alive. How can I leave? The old man shouted in a deep voice, Foreign cultivator, don't go too far. So what if I'm going too far? Su Fong was aggressive and showed off his ability. QL 11-inch, since that's the case, I'll have to sacrifice some of my lifespan to kill you. The old man shouted majestically as a bloody aura surged out of his body. In an instant, it transformed into a blood-red willow tree that was thousands of feet tall. Its divine might completely enveloped the area where the Blood Willow Gang was. Chi. Bloody willow leaves fluttered wildly as they swept towards Su Fong from all directions.